This is Daniel Rothman, and you're listening to Timino 4.7 FM. It's Monday morning, April 14th, and if you're just tuning in, the time is 6:42 a.m. Traffic is looking heavy on the inbound lanes as usual, nothing out of the ordinary there. We've got reports of some delays on the red line, maintenance issues apparently, but the Transit Authority says they're working on it. Should be cleared up within the hour. Weather today is looking overcast, temperature sitting at about 53 degrees, expected high of 68. Not bad for April. We'll have partly cloudy skies this afternoon, slight chance of rain tonight. Nothing to worry about. Emily just handed me a note here. We're getting word that there's some kind of situation developing at the downtown transit hub. Hold on, let me get more details on this. Emily's on the phone with transit police right now. Apparently there's been some kind of disturbance on one of the platforms. We don't have specifics yet, but officers are responding. Could be a medical emergency, could be something else. We'll keep you updated as information comes in. In the meantime, if you're heading downtown this morning, you might want to consider alternate routes. The red line is experiencing significant delays now, not just maintenance anymore. They're asking commuters to use the blue line if possible, or consider bus alternatives. The morning rush is just getting started, so if you can delay your commute by 30 minutes or so, that might be your best bet. Let's check traffic cameras. I'm pulling up the feed from downtown right now. Looks like there's definitely increased activity around the transit station. I can see emergency vehicles, looks like at least 3 or 4 police cars. Ambulance on scene as well. Again, we don't know what's happening yet, but it appears to be contained to the station area. Street traffic seems to be flowing normally. Emily's getting another call. One moment. Okay, so Transit Authority is now saying the red line is completely shut down. All trains have been stopped. They're evacuating the downtown station. That's a significant development. We're talking about thousands of morning commuters being rerouted. This is going to cause major backups across the entire system. If you're planning to take the red line this morning, don't. Find another way. Buses are going to be packed. If you can work from home today, that might be your best option. I'm hearing from Emily that there are reports of some kind of altercation on the platform. Multiple people involved. Police are asking everyone to remain calm and exit the station in an orderly fashion. No word yet on injuries, but with an ambulance on scene, we can assume someone needs medical attention. These things happen in crowded spaces, unfortunately. Tensions run high during rush hour. Everyone's in a hurry. Everyone's stressed. Sometimes it boils over. We'll continue monitoring this situation. In other news, the City Council is meeting tonight to discuss the proposed budget for next fiscal year. There's expected to be significant debate over funding for infrastructure repairs. Speaking of which, I'm actually hearing that yesterday there was some kind of incident involving maintenance workers in the subway system. Apparently they discovered an old tunnel that wasn't on current maps. These things happen in a city this old. The subway system has been expanded and modified so many times over the decades that there are bound to be sections that get forgotten, sealed off, lost in the shuffle of bureaucracy and record keeping. The workers reported it to their supervisors, standard protocol. Nothing unusual about that. Old infrastructure discoveries happen fairly regularly during maintenance work. Most of the time it's just empty space, sometimes old equipment, sometimes historical artifacts from when the tunnels were first built. The city actually has a whole department dedicated to cataloging these discoveries. Urban archaeology, they call it. Fascinating stuff if you're into that sort of thing. But I'm getting off track here. The important thing this morning is the transit situation. Emily's telling me we're getting more calls about the downtown station. Apparently people are saying it's chaotic down there. Not surprising given that they've shut down the entire red line during morning rush hour. That's thousands of people suddenly needing to find alternate transportation. The platforms must be packed with confused commuters. They try to get someone from Transit Authority on the line. Emily, can you keep trying to reach them? We need official information here, not just secondhand reports. Our listeners deserve to know what's actually happening. While we wait for that, let me remind everyone that 104.7 FM is here for you throughout the day. We'll be providing continuous updates on this transit situation as it develops. If you're stuck in traffic or waiting for a bus because of these delays, we're with you. We'll get through this morning together. The time now is 6:53 a.m., 11 minutes since we first started reporting on this situation. Still no official word from Transit Authority. That's frustrating. In situations like this, communication is key. People need information to make decisions about their commute, about their day. Radio silence from the authorities just creates more confusion and anxiety. I'm looking at social media now. People are posting from the downtown station. Lots of confusion, some anger, which is understandable. Nobody likes having their morning disrupted. I'm seeing some posts about people pushing, shoving. The evacuation isn't going smoothly again. Not surprising when you're trying to move thousands of people out of an enclosed space all at once. The station wasn't designed for mass evacuation. The exits are only so wide, the staircases can only handle so much traffic. One post here says something about someone biting another passenger. That's odd. Must be the altercation we heard about earlier. Things must have gotten physical. You know, stress does strange things to people. Add in the confined space, the crowd, the sudden disruption, and some people just snap. I've seen it before, road rage, but on a subway platform. Platform rage, I guess you'd call it. Emily's got transit authority on the line. Finally, let me see what they're saying. All right, so according to the official statement, there was a medical emergency on the Red Line platform at approximately 6:35 a.m. Multiple individuals were involved. Emergency services responded. The decision was made to evacuate the station as a precautionary measure. They're not providing details about the nature of the medical emergency, citing privacy concerns. The Red Line will remain closed until the situation is resolved and the station is deemed safe for operation. No guideline yet on when service will resume. That's the official word. Medical emergency, evacuation, no timeline. Not much to go on, honestly. Medical emergency could mean anything. Heart attack, seizure, diabetic episode, panic attack, anything. The fact that they shut down the entire line suggests they're taking it seriously, whatever it is, or maybe it's just an abundance of caution, hard to say. The time is 7:02 a.m. Rush hour is in full swing now. I'm seeing reports of heavy traffic on all major routes into downtown. The buses are packed beyond capacity. People are waiting 30-40 minutes for buses that are already full when they arrive. This is turning into a real mess. If your job allows any flexibility at all, I'd strongly suggest waiting until at least 9 a.m. before trying to commute. Let this situation sort itself out. For those of you who are already out there stuck in traffic or waiting for transportation, I feel for you. This is not how anyone wanted to start their Monday, but we'll get through it. The city's dealt with transit disruptions before. Remember last winter when that water main broke and flooded 3 stations? Same kind of chaos, same frustrated commuters, but we managed. Life goes on. The city adapts. I'm getting a text from a listener. Says she was at the downtown station when the evacuation started. She says people were panicking, not just frustrated, but genuinely scared. She says she saw someone who looked sick, very sick, stumbling around before security moved everyone out. She managed to get out quickly, but says the atmosphere down there was frightening. Not the usual commuter annoyance, but real fear. That's interesting. That's more than just a standard medical emergency response. Real fear suggests people saw something disturbing. But what? Without more information, I don't want to speculate. We deal in facts here at 1004.7 FM, not rumors or panic. Let's wait for more official information. Emily's getting another call, this one from Downtown Precinct. Hold on. Police are asking people to avoid the downtown area entirely if possible. Not just the transit station, but the surrounding blocks. They're setting up a perimeter. That's significant. That's more than just crowd control for an evacuation. A perimeter suggests they're securing an area, keeping people out, maybe keeping something in. Again, I don't want to speculate, but this is developing into something more serious than a simple medical emergency. Let me check news wires. I'm looking at the major outlets now. Nothing yet. We might be ahead of the story here. Mainstream news is slow in the mornings, especially for breaking local situations. They need time to get crews on scene, confirm information, get clearance from editors. Radio is faster. We're here, we're live, we're getting information in real time, even if it's fragmentary. Another listener text. This one says her husband works security at the downtown station. He called her a few minutes ago, said something crazy is happening, people attacking each other, blood everywhere, and then the call cut off. She's trying to call him back, but getting no answer. She's terrified, asking if we know anything more. I wish I could tell her something concrete. The truth is we're getting bits and pieces, fragments of a larger picture that we can't quite see yet. Police say avoid downtown, transit shut down the Red Line. There was some kind of altercation, some kind of medical emergency. People are scared. But we don't have the full story yet. The time is 7:16 a.m. It's been over 40 minutes since this started. You'd think by now we'd have more official information, but we don't. That silence is starting to feel deliberate. When authorities go quiet during a developing situation, it usually means one of two things. Either they don't know what's happening and don't want to cause panic by admitting that, or they do know and they're trying to figure out how to tell the public. Neither option is particularly comforting. Let's try to reach out to some contacts. I've been in radio in this city for 17 years. I know people, cops, firefighters, city officials. Let me make some calls during the next song. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to 4.7 FM. Daniel Rothman here. The time is 7:23 a.m. and the situation downtown continues to develop. While we were away, Emily has been fielding calls and monitoring official channels. We still don't have a clear picture, but things are escalating. Police have now expanded the perimeter around the downtown station. They're closing off streets. Traffic is being rerouted. This is affecting not just commuters, but residents in that area. People are being asked to stay in their homes. I managed to reach a contact in the fire department. He couldn't talk long, said he was responding to a call, but he told me there are multiple medical emergencies being reported in the downtown area. Not one, not two, multiple. Ambulances are stretched thin. They're calling in off-duty paramedics. Hospitals in the area are being notified to expect incoming patients. He said the word coming over the radio is some kind of mass casualty event. Those were his words. Mass casualty event. That's serious. That's very serious. Mass casualty means we're talking about numerous people injured or sick or worse. It means emergency services are being overwhelmed. It means the normal protocols aren't sufficient. But what caused it? That's what we don't know. Was it something chemical? There are industrial facilities near the downtown area. Could there have been a leak? But wouldn't we have heard about that from environmental monitors? The city has sensors for that sort of thing. Or was it something else? The altercation we heard about earlier. Could that have spiraled into something larger? Crowd stampedes can cause mass casualties. Panic in confined spaces is deadly. I'm looking at social media again, and the posts are getting more disturbing. People are sharing videos from downtown. I'm watching one now. It's shaky footage. Someone filming on their phone while running. I can hear screaming in the background. The person filming is panting, scared. They're saying something about people attacking others, about blood, about chaos. The video cuts off abruptly. Another video. This one from street level outside the station. You can see the police perimeter being set up. Officers are putting up barricades. In the background, you can hear what sounds like shouting, maybe gunfire. I can't be sure. The video quality isn't great, but there's definitely something happening beyond those barricades that has law enforcement on edge. Emily is on the phone with someone from City Hall now. Let me see what she's learning. Okay, so unofficially, off the record, we're being told that there's a potential public health emergency. No details on the nature of the emergency, but the health department has been activated. They're coordinating with emergency services. There's talk of setting up triage area. The mayor's office is preparing a statement expected within the next 30 minutes. They're asking news outlets to avoid speculation and wait for official information. That last part troubles me. Asking us not to speculate is reasonable enough, but it also suggests that speculation is happening, that people are starting to piece things together, and those pieces are forming a picture that authorities don't want circulated yet. What could be so serious that they need time to craft the message carefully? Let me be clear with our listeners. I'm not trying to cause panic here. I'm trying to provide you with information as we receive it. Yes, something serious is happening downtown. Yes, emergency services are responding in force. Yes, people should avoid the area. But we don't know exactly what we're dealing with yet. It could be a chemical leak, a structural collapse, a terrorist incident, a disease outbreak, any number of things. Until we have confirmation, anything else is just guessing. The time now is 7:37 a.m. The morning rush should be at its peak right now, but traffic across the city is actually lighter than normal. People are hearing about downtown and deciding to stay home. Smart move. The roads that are open are moving more freely than usual. If you absolutely must travel this morning and you're not going anywhere near downtown, you should actually have a relatively clear drive. I'm getting texts from listeners asking about loved ones who are downtown this morning. People trying to reach family members, friends, co-workers. Phone networks in the downtown area seem to be overwhelmed. Calls aren't going through, texts are delayed. If you're trying to reach someone downtown, keep trying, but be patient. The networks will clear as the situation stabilizes. Another listener asking if this could be terrorism. It's a fair question given the police response, the scale of the emergency. But terrorism usually comes with claims, with messages, with some indication of who and why. So far, we have none of that. This seems more like something that happened, not something someone did. But again, I'm just reading the situation as best I can with limited information. Emily's pulling up the news networks now. Let's see if they're covering this yet. Yes, looks like the cable news channels are starting to pick it up. Breaking news banners, live shots from helicopters circling downtown. You can see the police perimeter from the air, blocks and blocks cordoned off. You can see crowds of people being moved away from the area. Emergency vehicles everywhere, ambulances, fire trucks, police cars, all with lights flashing. It looks like a war zone. The news anchors are being careful with their language. They're calling it a developing situation, an emergency in progress. They're interviewing a police spokesperson who's saying very little. Standard lines about public safety, ongoing investigation, asking people to stay away and stay informed through official channels. No mention of what actually happened. No mention of casualties, though. With this level of response, there must be casualties. One of the news helicopters is zooming in on the station entrance. You can see people being brought out on stretchers. Medical personnel in protective gear. That's notable. Protective gear. Masks, gloves, maybe full hazmat suits. Hard to tell from the aerial view. That suggests they're concerned about contamination. Chemical, biological, something that requires protection. This is starting to feel like more than just a random emergency. This feels coordinated, careful, like they're dealing with something specific and dangerous. Let's try another contact. I have a friend who works in the health department. If there's a biological or chemical concern, she might know something. Emily, can you try to reach Dr. Sarah Chen? She's usually in by 7:30. While we wait on that, let me update you on the broader situation. The red line remains closed. No indication when it will reopen. All other subway lines are running, but with delays due to overcrowding as people avoid the red line. Bus service is experiencing significant delays. System-wide, major roads around downtown are closed. The airport is reporting normal operations for now, but passengers heading into the city are being warned about transit difficulties. Schools in the downtown area have announced delayed openings. Some businesses are telling employees to work from home. The ripple effects of whatever is happening downtown are spreading across the entire metro area. This isn't just a localized incident anymore. This is affecting hundreds of thousands of people. The time is 7:51 a.m. We're now more than an hour into this situation. The mayor's statement was supposed to come out 30 minutes ago, but there's been no announcement. That delay is telling. They're either still trying to figure out what to say, or they're coordinating with state or federal authorities. Either way, the longer they wait, the more anxious people become. Emily's got Dr. Chen on the line, finally someone who might have real answers. What's she saying? Dr. Chen can't talk on record, but she's confirming that the health department is treating this as a potential exposure event. They don't know what people were exposed to yet, but the symptoms being reported are consistent with some kind of toxin or pathogen. Multiple people are presenting with similar symptoms: aggression, confusion, fever, bleeding from the mouth and nose. She's saying the EMTs on scene are describing victims as violent, incoherent, difficult to restrain. Some are biting, scratching, attacking responders. That's why the protective gear, not just to protect against a pathogen, but to protect against the victims themselves. This is deeply disturbing information. We're talking about people becoming violent due to some kind of exposure. This isn't just a medical emergency in the traditional sense. This is people losing control, becoming dangerous. It started at the downtown station, a confined space packed with morning commuters. If whatever caused this is contagious, if it spreads person to person, then everyone who was at that station this morning could potentially be affected. We're talking about hundreds, maybe thousands of people who've now dispersed across the city. I need to be careful here. I don't want to cause panic, but I also have a responsibility to tell people what we know. If you were at the downtown Red Line station this morning between 6 and 7 a.m., you need to pay attention to how you're feeling. If you experience fever, confusion, unusual aggression, any symptoms out of the ordinary, you need to seek medical attention immediately. Call ahead before you go to a hospital or clinic. Tell them you were at the downtown station. They need to be prepared for potential exposure. Emily just handed me something. There's a statement coming out now, not from the mayor, but from the health department. Let me read this. Quote, "The city health department is investigating reports of illness among individuals who were present at the downtown Red Line station this morning. As a precaution, we are asking anyone who was at the station between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. to monitor themselves for symptoms including fever, severe headache, confusion, and unusual behavior. If you experience these symptoms, please contact your healthcare provider immediately. Do not visit emergency rooms or clinics without calling ahead. We are working to determine the cause of these illnesses and will provide updates as information becomes available. There is no reason for the general public to be alarmed at this time." End quote. No reason to be alarmed. That's what they always say right before telling you why you should be alarmed. The fact that they're asking people to self-monitor, that they're warning about visiting emergency rooms without calling ahead, That tells you they're expecting more cases. They're expecting people who don't even know they're sick yet to start showing symptoms. This is going to get worse before it gets better. The time is 8:07 a.m., 2.5 hours since the initial incident. I'm hearing now that some of the people who were at the downtown station have made it to their workplaces before symptoms started. Office buildings across the city. We're getting reports of people suddenly becoming ill at work, in some cases violently ill. Security guards having to restrain employees who've become aggressive. This is spreading. A listener just texted saying her office building downtown has been locked down. Someone on the third floor started attacking co-workers. Police were called. The building management has sealed the exit. Everyone's been told to stay in their offices, lock the doors if possible, and wait for further instructions. She's scared. She can hear screaming from other floors. She doesn't know what's happening. This is escalating rapidly. What started as an incident at one subway station is now affecting multiple locations across downtown. We're seeing the pattern now. People were exposed at the station. They left before symptoms appeared. They went to work or home or wherever they were headed. And now they're getting sick, and when they get sick, they become violent. I need to emphasize this because it's critical. If you were at the downtown Red Line station this morning, you need to isolate yourself. Don't go to work, don't go to public places, stay home, watch for symptoms. If you start feeling ill, call for help, but don't go out. You could be a risk to others. I know that sounds dramatic, but based on what we're seeing, this is serious. Emily's monitoring emergency radio channels now. Let me see what she's hearing. Multiple 911 calls across downtown. Reports of violent individuals in various locations. Hotels, office buildings, coffee shops, stores, all describing similar behavior, sudden onset of aggression, attacking others, biting, scratching. Police and EMS are responding to dozens of locations simultaneously. They're overwhelmed. Response times are stretching out. If you call 911 right now in downtown, you might wait 20-30 minutes for help to arrive. The news networks are starting to connect the dots. They're interviewing medical experts who are speculating about possible causes. Biological agents, chemical exposure, mass poisoning. One doctor is saying the symptoms sound like rabies, which is impossible because rabies has an incubation period of weeks or months, not hours. But the aggression, the violence, the loss of cognitive function, it does sound similar. Another expert is suggesting some kind of synthetic drug contamination, maybe in the water supply or ventilation system at the station. But that wouldn't explain the progression we're seeing. I'm looking at the patterns here, trying to make sense of it. People at the station around 6:30 a.m., first symptoms appearing around 7:30 a.m., so we're talking about an incubation period of roughly 1 hour from exposure to onset. That's fast, unusually fast for any biological agent I'm aware of. Chemical agents can act that quickly, but chemicals don't spread person to person the way this seems to be spreading. Unless it's not spreading person to person, unless everyone who's sick now was at the station this morning. But there are too many cases, too widely dispersed. The station was crowded, sure, but we're hearing about incidents in areas of downtown that would be unlikely destinations for morning commuters. Places that wouldn't have high concentrations of people from that particular station at that particular time. So either it's spreading beyond the initial exposure group, or there were multiple exposure sites, or we're missing something about how this works. The time is 8:24 a.m. The mayor is finally speaking. Let's listen. The mayor is at a podium surrounded by officials. He looks shaken. He's calling this a public health emergency. He's confirming multiple casualties downtown. He's asking people to stay calm and follow instructions from emergency services. He's declaring a state of emergency for the downtown district. He's activating emergency protocols. He's requesting state and federal assistance. He's asking everyone to avoid unnecessary travel. He's asking businesses to close for the day. He's asking residents to stay in their home. But he's not saying what caused this. He's not explaining why people are becoming violent. He's not giving any real information beyond the fact that it's serious and getting more serious. That lack of transparency is going to backfire. People need to know what they're dealing with. Without information, rumors fill the void, and rumors can be more dangerous than the truth. The press is shouting questions at him, but he's walking away from the podium. That's it. Brief statement, no questions. He looks scared. I've never seen the mayor look scared before. That tells me the people in charge are as unsure about this as we are. They're making decisions with incomplete information. They're reacting, not controlling. Emily's getting reports that the National Guard has been contacted. That's another escalation. If military resources are being brought in, this has moved beyond local emergency services capabilities. The National Guard means they're preparing for something bigger than what's already happened. They're anticipating that this will continue to spread, that more resources will be needed. I'm trying to stay calm here, trying to provide steady information, but I'll be honest with you, I'm concerned. We're 3 hours into this and the situation keeps getting worse. More cases, more violence, more areas affected, and we still don't know what's causing it or how to stop it. The listener is texting asking if she should leave the city. She lives on the east side, far from downtown, but she's scared. Should people be evacuating? That's a tough question. The authorities haven't called for evacuation. They're saying stay home. But if this continues to spread, if it reaches beyond downtown, then staying might become more dangerous than leaving. I don't want to cause a panic exodus that clogs the roads and prevents emergency vehicles from moving, but I also don't want to tell people to stay if staying puts them at risk. Here's what I'll say. If you're in the downtown area, follow official instructions. Stay where you are unless told to evacuate. If you're outside downtown, monitor the situation, have a plan. Know your routes out of the city if it comes to that. Keep your gas tank full, have supplies on hand, water, food, medications. Be ready, but don't panic. We're not at evacuation stage yet. The time now is 8:41 a.m. Rush hour should be winding down, but most people never made it to work today. The highways are actually seeing reverse traffic now, people leaving downtown, leaving the city, despite the mayor asking everyone to stay put. Plenty of people are deciding to take their chances elsewhere. I can't say I blame them. When the people in charge can't or won't explain what's happening, self-preservation kicks in. I'm looking at video from downtown now. This is from a news helicopter. They're showing multiple fires burning, buildings on fire, cars on fire. You can see people in the streets, but the behavior is wrong. They're not running in panic. They're wandering, aimless, aggressive. The camera zooms in on a group surrounding someone, attacking. The news anchors are silent, no commentary. What do you say when you're watching society break down in real time? This is beyond a medical emergency now. This is a breakdown of order. Whatever is affecting people is stripping away their humanity, leaving only aggression and violence, and it's spreading through one of the most densely populated areas of the city. Emily just got a call from someone at the hospital nearest to downtown. They're in bad shape. The emergency room is overrun. They have dozens of patients exhibiting the violent symptoms, and they can't restrain them all. Staff members have been injured. They're trying to sedate patients, but sedation isn't working as expected. The affected individuals seem to have increased pain tolerance, increased strength. Security is trying to lock down the violent patients, but there aren't enough security personnel. The caller says they're considering evacuating the hospital, just getting everyone out and leaving. That would be unprecedented. Hospitals don't evacuate unless there's absolutely no other choice. If the hospitals can't handle this, if medical facilities are being overwhelmed and potentially abandoned, then where do people go when they're injured or sick from other causes? What about heart attacks, strokes, car accidents, all the normal medical emergencies that happen every day? The healthcare system is collapsing under the weight of this crisis. I'm hearing sirens outside the studio now. We're not downtown, we're in the Northwest District, miles from the initial incident. But emergency vehicles are racing past on the street below. The crisis is moving. It's not contained to downtown anymore. It's spreading outward like ripples in a pond, and each ripple brings more chaos. The time is 8:57 a.m., 4.5 hours since the initial incident. Let me try to summarize what we know. An incident at the downtown Red Line station around 6:30 this morning. Multiple people became ill and violent. The illness spreads rapidly. Incubation of about an hour from exposure to symptoms. Symptoms include aggression, violence, loss of cognitive function, bleeding. Victims attack others. The illness has spread from the initial site to multiple locations across downtown and is now moving into surrounding districts. Emergency services are overwhelmed. The mayor has declared a state of emergency. National Guard has been called in. Hospitals are overrun. The public has been asked to stay home and avoid travel. What we don't know, the cause, the transmission method, the cure, how many people are affected, how far it will spread, how to stop it. Those unknowns are what make this so terrifying. We're facing something unprecedented, something that authorities clearly weren't prepared for. And if they weren't prepared, what chance do we have? A listener just sent me a link to a forum where people are theorizing about what's happening. Some are saying it's a terrorist attack, a biological weapon released in the subway. Others are saying it's a government experiment gone wrong. Some are saying it's not an illness at all, but some kind of mass psychosis triggered by something in the environment. And yes, some people are using the word zombie. I know how that sounds. I know it sounds like fiction, like movie, but when you watch people who were normal this morning turn violent and mindless in the span of an hour, when you see them attacking others without reason or restraint, what else do you call it? I'm not saying it's actually zombies in the supernatural sense, but something is turning people into violent, aggressive shells of themselves, and it's spreading. Whether we call it a virus, a toxin, an infection, a syndrome, or yes, even zombies, the effect is the same. People are dangerous, and there are more of them every hour. Emily's pulling up social media. There are videos spreading online, graphic videos of attacks, people being swarmed in the streets. I'm not going to describe them in detail because they're disturbing and I don't want to traumatize our listeners, but they're out there if you want to see what's really happening. Though honestly, I'd recommend you don't look. Some things once seen can't be unseen. The phone lines here at the station are lit up. Everyone calling with questions, with reports, with fears. Emily's doing her best to answer, but there's only so much we can say. We don't have answers. We're learning about this in real time just like everyone else. All we can do is share what we know and try to help people make informed decisions. One caller says she's barricaded herself in her apartment downtown. She can hear chaos in the hallway, screaming, pounding on doors. She asks how long she should wait before trying to leave. I tell her to stay put for now. If she's safe behind a locked door, that's where she should be. Going into the hallway, into the chaos, that's more dangerous than staying. But make sure she has water, food, anything she needs for an extended stay, because I don't know when it will be safe to leave. Hours, days, no idea. The time is 9:13 a.m. The morning that started with traffic reports and weather updates has turned into something out of a nightmare. I keep thinking this will stabilize, that authorities will get control, that will look back on this as a scary few hours that ultimately got resolved. But every update brings worse news. Every call reveals new horrors. This isn't stabilizing, this is accelerating. Breaking news from the state capitol. The governor is speaking now. She's declaring a statewide emergency. She's mobilizing all available National Guard units. She's asking for federal emergency declaration and assistance. She's implementing emergency broadcast protocols. She's ordering a curfew for the entire metro area starting at 6 p.m. tonight. Anyone outside after curfew will be detained. She's closing all non-essential businesses immediately. She's suspending public transportation across the region. These are wartime measures. This is what governments do when society is breaking down. Martial law in everything but name. The fact that the governor is taking these steps tells you how serious state authorities view this. They're not treating this as a contained incident anymore. They're treating it as an existential threat. Emily just showed me something on one of the news channels. They're showing footage from the initial incident at the subway station, recorded on security cameras. The timestamp shows 6:37 a.m. You can see the platform, crowded with commuters. Then you see someone stumble. People gather around to help. Then that person attacks the helpers. Chaos erupts. People running, screaming. More people falling, then getting up and attacking. It spreads through the crowd like wildfire. Within minutes, the platform is a scene of violence. The footage ends when the camera is knocked offline. Seeing it happen in real time like that, compressed into a few minutes of video, it's shocking. You can see the exact moment when order breaks down, when civilization gives way to savagery. It happens so fast. One moment people are commuters, annoyed at delays, thinking about their workday. The next moment they're either victims or monsters. I'm getting a text from a colleague at another radio station across town. He says their station is evacuating. The building next door has infected people inside and they're worried about the situation spilling over. His station is going off the air. He's telling me to be careful, to consider getting out while I can. He says more and more stations are going silent as staff flee or as situations develop near their location. I'm not leaving. Not yet. As long as I can broadcast, I will. People need information. They need a voice telling them what's happening, giving them guidance, letting them know they're not alone. If I abandon this microphone, I abandon everyone listening. I can't do that. Not until I absolutely have to. The time is 9:36 a.m. Let me check in with Emily about what we're hearing on emergency channels. Police and fire radio traffic is chaotic. Units are being dispatched to dozens of locations simultaneously. Officers are reporting being attacked. Some units are going offline, not responding to dispatch. Fire crews are refusing to respond to certain areas without police escort. EMS has pulled back from downtown entirely. They're staging at the perimeter and waiting for patients to be brought to them. The system is breaking down. Emergency services, the backbone of urban safety, are retreating. The National Guard is beginning to deploy, but it takes time to mobilize military units. They're setting up checkpoints on major roads leading out of downtown. The official word is they're there to help with evacuation and provide security. The reality is they're creating a cordon, limiting movement in and out. They're quarantining the affected area. That means people still trapped downtown are on their own for now. I'm looking at maps of the city, tracking where incidents are being reported. It started at the downtown station. Now there are reports in the business district, the warehouse district, the old town, the north side. It's radiating outward in all directions from the initial point. The pattern suggests person-to-person transmission. Someone gets infected, they move to a new location, they infect others there, exponential growth. This is how pandemics spread, but most pandemics don't turn people violent in an hour. Most pandemics don't make people attack others on sight. A listener asks if this could be a form of rabies. It's a reasonable question given the symptoms. Rabies does cause aggression, hydrophobia, and madness. But rabies has a long incubation period. You don't get bitten by a rabid animal and turn violent an hour later. It takes days, weeks, sometimes months for rabies to manifest. This is something else. Something engineered or something natural that we've never encountered before. Either possibility is terrifying. The time now is 9:52 a.m. 5.5 hours in. I need to update everyone on what to do if you encounter someone exhibiting these symptoms. First, keep your distance. Do not approach them. Do not try to help them. I know that goes against every instinct, but these people are not themselves. They will attack you. Second, get to safety. Lock doors, barricade if necessary. Third, call for help if you can, but understand that help might not come quickly. Emergency services are overwhelmed. You may need to protect yourself. Fourth, if you must defend yourself, understand that these individuals don't respond normally to pain or threats. They don't retreat. You need to incapacitate them or get away. That's a harsh reality, but it's the truth. I hate saying that. I hate telling people they might need to hurt others to survive. But we're past the point of normal social rules. This is survival now. People need to know what they're facing. Emily just got word that looting has started in some areas. With police stretched thin, criminal elements are taking advantage. Stores are being broken into, goods stolen. Some of it is probably just opportunistic theft. But some of it might be people grabbing supplies because they know the normal supply chains are breaking down. Water, food, medicines, these things might become scarce. Can I really blame someone for taking what they need to survive when the stores might not be open tomorrow? But looting also means more chaos in the streets, more confrontations, more violence. It's another layer of danger added to an already catastrophic situation. The news is reporting that several major chain stores have announced they're closing all locations in the metro area. Grocery stores, pharmacies, everything. They're telling employees to go home. That means supply chains are being severed. Even areas not directly affected by the illness will start running out of goods. People should stock up now while they can. But do it calmly, rationally. Don't clean out entire shelves. Take what you need and leave some for others. We need to maintain some sense of community even as everything falls apart. The time is 10:09 a.m. The sun should be bright outside, but it feels dark. The mood in the studio is somber. Emily and I are alone here. The rest of the staff left hours ago. I told them to go, to get to safety, to be with their families. Emily stayed. She says someone needs to help keep me on air. I'm grateful for that. I don't think I could do this alone. We're eating vending machine food and drinking coffee. We might be here for a while. The studio is several floors up in a secure building. We have supplies, we have power from generators if the grid goes down. We have a direct feed to broadcast. This is as safe a place as any right now. And from here we can still reach people. We can still provide information. That's our job. That's our purpose. I'm looking at footage from the National Guard checkpoints. Long lines of cars trying to leave the city. Soldiers checking vehicles, looking for signs of infection. People are being turned away if they show any symptoms. Families being separated, sick individuals being detained. It's heartbreaking, but necessary. If you let infected people leave the city, they spread the infection to new areas. The quarantine has to hold or this goes nationwide. But what about the people trapped inside the quarantine zone? What about the healthy people stuck downtown who can't get out? They're being sacrificed to protect the larger population. It's brutal calculus, trading lives to save more lives. I understand the logic, but it doesn't make it easier to accept. A listener texts asking if this could be contained, if it's possible to stop the spread. Honestly, I don't know. It depends on so many factors. How contagious is it? How long do people remain infectious? Is it spreading through bites, through blood, through air? We don't know. If it requires direct fluid contact, then it can be contained with proper precautions. If it's airborne, then we're all potentially at risk and containment becomes much harder. The authorities clearly think containment is possible or they wouldn't be setting up quarantine zones. But history shows that containing pandemics is incredibly difficult even with modern medicine and technology. And this isn't a typical pandemic. The time is 10:27 a.m. I'm hearing reports that some people are ignoring the stay-at-home orders and taking to the streets, some to flee, some to loot, some just in panic. The streets are dangerous, not just from the infected, but from desperate people making bad decisions. Car accidents because drivers are panicking. Fights over resources. Confusion and fear turning people against each other. The social fabric is tearing. In times of crisis, some people rise to the occasion, helping others, showing courage and compassion. Others give in to their worst instincts, looking out only for themselves, taking advantage of the chaos. We're seeing both right now. Stories of neighbors helping neighbors barricade homes, stories of strangers attacking each other over a bottle of water, humanity at its best and worst all compressed into a few hours. Emily's monitoring social media, and there's a growing online community of people sharing information, coordinating survival strategies, keeping track of safe zones and dangerous areas. It's impressive how quickly people adapt, how they find ways to organize even as traditional structures fail. There's talk of people forming groups, banding together for protection, strength in numbers. It makes sense. Isolated individuals are vulnerable. Communities have a better chance, but communities also have to trust each other, and trust is breaking down. How do you trust that your neighbor isn't infected? How do you let someone into your group without knowing if they're carrying the illness? These are impossible questions with no good answers. The news is showing footage from other cities now. There are reports of similar incidents in 2 other major metro areas, not as widespread yet, but the same pattern: sudden onset of violence, rapid spread, overwhelmed authorities. This isn't just us. This is happening elsewhere. That means it's not a localized chemical spill or a single terrorist attack. This is bigger. This is a widespread phenomenon, maybe national, maybe international. We don't have enough information yet to know the full scale. If multiple cities are affected simultaneously, that suggests a coordinated release of something or a contamination of something widely distributed. Water supplies, food shipments, transportation hubs, or maybe it's been spreading quietly for longer than we realize, and today is just when it reached critical mass in multiple locations at once. The time now is 10:49 a.m., 6 hours since this began. It feels like a lifetime. This morning I was worried about traffic reports and weather. Now I'm trying to help people survive. Let address something I'm seeing online. There are conspiracy theories spreading, claims that the government engineered this, that it's a population control measure or a military test gone wrong. Look, I understand the urge to find someone to blame, to make sense of senseless tragedy, but spreading unverified conspiracy theories helps no one. It distracts from real information. It undermines trust in authorities when we need coordination and organization. Yes, there are legitimate questions about where this came from and how it started. Those questions deserve answered. But right now, the priority is survival. We'll have time for investigations and accountability later if we survive. That said, there are questions that should be asked. The initial incident was at the downtown subway station. But what triggered it? Was someone patient zero who brought the illness there? Or was there something at the station itself that caused it? I mentioned earlier that maintenance workers discovered an old sealed tunnel the day before. Containers with biohazard symbols from the Cold War era. One was broken. Workers were exposed. They went home. Did they come back through that station this morning? Could they have been the source? It's speculation, but it fits. Cold War biological weapons program. Sealed containers forgotten for decades. Accidentally breached during maintenance. Workers exposed, go home, transform overnight, come back through the station during rush hour as infected individuals. They spread it to commuters. Commuters spread it across the city. The timeline works. The mechanism works. If that's what happened, this is a ghost from the past coming back to haunt us. But even if that's the origin, it doesn't change our situation. Knowing where it came from doesn't stop it. We still need to survive. We still need to protect ourselves and others. We still need to hope that someone somewhere figures out how to stop this. Emily's got information from the Centers for Disease Control. They're deploying teams to affected cities. They're setting up field labs to study the pathogen or toxin or whatever this is. They're working on treatment protocols. That's something at least. The federal government is taking this seriously. Resources are being mobilized. But even the CDC can't produce a cure overnight. These things take time we may not have. The time is 11:06 a.m. I'm watching news from the other affected cities. One is on the West Coast, one in the Midwest. All three outbreaks seem to have started around the same time, early morning. All three centered on major transit hubs. That's not coincidence. That's pattern. That strongly suggests coordinated release or a common source in the transportation system. Trains, buses, airports, these are all interconnected. Something contaminated in one city can spread to others through the transit network. If that's true, there could be more cities affected that just haven't reported symptoms yet. Remember, there's about an hour incubation period. A person could board a train infected, but asymptomatic, travel to another city, and only show symptoms after arrival. They could be spreading this to new cities right now. That's probably why the governor shut down all public transit, not just to control the situation here, but to prevent it from spreading elsewhere through our transit connections. A listener is asking about pets. Can animals carry this? Can your dog or cat become infected? I don't know. Rabies affects animals, and if this is similar to rabies, maybe animals are susceptible. But I haven't heard any reports of infected animals. That doesn't mean it's not possible, just that we don't know. To be safe, keep your pets indoors. Don't let them roam. Don't let them interact with unknown animals or people showing symptoms. If your pet shows signs of unusual aggression, extreme caution is warranted. The thought of infected animals is disturbing. Pets, livestock, wildlife, if this spreads to the animal population, containment becomes exponentially harder. You can quarantine people. You can't quarantine every animal in a region. The time now is 11:23 a.m. Let me try to reach out to someone in the scientific community. Emily, can you try to get someone from the University Medical School on the phone? We need expert perspective on what we're dealing with. While she's doing that, let me talk about mental health for a moment. Today has been traumatic. Even if you're physically safe, even if you haven't personally witnessed violence, the emotional toll of this crisis is significant. Fear, anxiety, grief, anger, these are all normal responses to an abnormal situation. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to cry, to be scared, but try not to let fear paralyze you. Try to take care of yourself mentally as well as physically. Stay connected with loved ones, even if just by phone or internet. Don't isolate yourself emotionally, even if you're isolated physically. We're going through this together. Everyone listening right now, everyone in this city, we're all in the same boat. Draw strength from that shared experience. Emily's got someone from the medical school. Dr. James Morrison, infectious disease specialist. Let me see what he can tell us. Dr. Morrison is saying that based on the symptoms and progression, this appears to be a neurological pathogen, something that affects the brain rapidly. The aggression, the loss of cognitive function, the increased pain tolerance, these all point to damage or alteration of brain chemistry. He's saying the speed of onset is unprecedented for any known natural pathogen. This suggests either a heavily modified biological agent or something entirely new. The bleeding from the mouth and nose suggests hemorrhagic component, similar to viral hemorrhagic fevers like Ebola. But those don't cause aggression. This seems to be a hybrid of multiple disease characteristics. He's never seen anything like it. He's terrified, and he's an expert in infectious disease. That should tell you something. Dr. Morrison is saying that the key to stopping this is understanding the transmission mechanism. If it's blood-borne, transmitted through bites or direct fluid contact, then protection is relatively straightforward. Avoid contact, use barriers, standard infection control. If it's airborne, then everyone in proximity to an infected individual is at risk, and protection requires sealed environments and filtered air. Initial reports suggest it's primarily transmitted through bites and scratches, which would be bloodborne. But he cautions that viruses can mutate, especially when spreading rapidly through a large population. It's possible transmission methods could change. He's recommending that anyone who's been bitten or scratched by an infected individual should isolate themselves immediately and monitor for symptoms. Given the rapid onset, symptoms should appear within an hour or two of exposure. If you've been exposed and 3 hours pass without symptoms, you might be clear, might being the key word. We don't have enough data to be certain. He's also saying that people should assume any blood or bodily fluid from infected individuals is infectious and take appropriate precautions. Gloves, masks, protective clothing if available. Wash any exposed skin immediately and thoroughly. Disinfect surfaces. This is valuable information. Dr. Morrison, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Please stay safe. He's signing off. He has to get to his lab. They're trying to get samples to study. Risky work, but necessary. We need to understand this thing to fight it. The time is 11:47 a.m. Almost noon. 7 hours since this started. The morning is stretched into an eternity. I'm exhausted, but I can't stop. People are still listening. The call volume to the station tells me that people are tuning in to find out what's happening, to feel less alone, to hear a human voice telling them they're going to be okay, even if I'm not sure that's true. Let's give an update on the current situation as I understand it. The downtown area is essentially lost. Emergency services have withdrawn. National Guard is setting up a perimeter around the entire downtown district. Anyone inside is on their own. The official stance is that rescue operations will begin once the situation is secured, but when that will be, no one can say. Infections are being reported in surrounding districts, but not yet at the density seen downtown. The quarantine checkpoints are holding for now, preventing mass exodus from the city. Other cities are experiencing similar situations. The CDC is on site in multiple locations. Federal emergency declaration has been issued. The president is expected to address the nation within the hour. What does all this mean for the average person listening right now? It means stay where you are if you're safe. Fortify your position. Conserve resources. Stay informed. Be prepared to defend yourself if necessary. Help others when you can, but don't take unnecessary risks. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We don't know how long this situation will last. Could be days, could be weeks. Prepare mentally for a long haul. I'm seeing reports that power is out in some parts of downtown, fire damage, violence against infrastructure, or maybe just the normal grid failing without maintenance. Whatever the cause, it means people in those areas are without electricity. No lights, no heating or cooling, no refrigeration, no ability to charge phones or devices. Communication becomes harder, safety becomes more difficult. Darkness provides cover for both infected and criminals. If the power grid fails more widely, this crisis becomes exponentially worse. Modern society depends on electricity for everything. Water treatment, sewage, hospitals, communications, food storage, transportation. Without power, cities become unlivable very quickly. I'm hoping the utility companies can keep the grid stable, but with workers fleeing and infrastructure potentially damaged, I'm not optimistic. The listener asked what happens when people run out of water or food. If you're trapped in your home for days or weeks, eventually supplies run out. Then what? Do you risk going out for supplies? Do you try to reach a shelter or distribution center if those exist? Do you try to leave the city entirely? These are decisions everyone might have to make eventually. There's no right answer. It depends on your specific situation, your resources, your capabilities. All I can say is make decisions carefully. Don't act in panic. Think through the risks and options. And if you do venture out, be smart. Travel in groups if possible. Stay alert. Have a plan and a backup plan. The time now is 12:03 p.m. Noon. The sun is high, but I can see smoke on the horizon through the studio window. Fires burning across the city. I wonder if firefighters are still trying to put them out or if they've given up and let them burn. Fire is another threat we have to worry about. It spreads quickly in urban areas, especially when there's no one to fight it. Whole neighborhoods could burn. Emily just showed me something online. People are organizing resistance groups, not just hiding and surviving, but actively fighting back against the infected. Hunting them, clearing buildings, trying to reclaim areas. It's brave and dangerous. Part of me wants to applaud their courage. Part of me worries they're going to get themselves killed or worse, infected. But I understand the impulse. Humans are not passive creatures. When threatened, some will fight. Maybe those groups will make a difference. Maybe they'll carve out safe zones. Or maybe they'll become tragic stories of courage that wasn't enough. The president is speaking now. Let me turn that on. The president looks grim. He's sitting in what looks like a secure location, maybe the bunker under the White House. He's talking about the crisis affecting multiple American cities. He's calling it an unprecedented attack on the nation. Attack, not accident. That's significant. He's saying the origin is under investigation, but early evidence suggests a coordinated biological weapon release. He's declaring a national emergency, mobilizing all military resources. He's implementing martial law in affected metropolitan areas. He's suspending certain civil liberties temporarily for public safety. He's asking Americans to remain calm and follow instructions from authorities. He's promising that the government will do everything possible to contain and eliminate the threat. He's asking for prayers. When the president asks for prayers, you know the situation is dire. This is the leader of the most powerful nation on earth admitting that we're facing something beyond our normal capabilities to handle. This is an acknowledgement that people will die, that cities might fall, that the outcome is uncertain. The president is taking questions from reporters. One asks about casualty estimates. The president says it's too early for accurate numbers, but we're talking about thousands dead already and potentially tens of thousands if containment fails. Tens of thousands in a single day. The scale of this catastrophe is staggering. Another reporter asks if this could spread nationwide or globally. The president says containment efforts are focused on preventing that, but with multiple cities already affected, there's no guarantee. International partners have been notified, borders are being secured, air travel is being restricted. But in our interconnected world, stopping the spread of a fast-moving contagion is extremely difficult. He doesn't say it, but the implication is clear. This could go global. This could be an extinction-level event. The president is ending his remarks. He looks like he's aged a decade in a day. The weight of this crisis is visible on his face. I feel for him, making decisions that affect millions of lives, knowing that whatever you choose, people will die. It's an impossible position. The time is 12:28 p.m. I need to take a break. Just a few minutes. Emily will put on music. When I come back, we'll continue. I need water. Need to clear my head. This is the first break I've taken since this morning. I'll be back shortly. Stay safe, everyone. Welcome back. Daniel Rothman here on 104.7 FM. The time is 12:39 p.m. I stepped away briefly, but we're back. The situation continues to develop. While I was gone, Emily has been monitoring channels, and the news is not good. Infections are spreading faster than containment efforts can keep up. The National Guard perimeter around downtown is under pressure. Large groups of infected are pushing against the barriers. There have been breaches in some areas. Soldiers have been forced to open fire. That's a sentence I never thought I'd say about American streets. Our military shooting American citizens, but those citizens aren't themselves anymore. They're infected, violent, dangerous. The soldiers are defending the perimeter, defending the people on the other side, but it's still horrific. Casualties among National Guard and police are mounting. These aren't soldiers fighting a foreign enemy. These are people who signed up to protect and serve their communities. Now they're being asked to kill neighbors, friends, family members who've been turned into monsters. The psychological toll is going to be immense. If we survive this, we'll have a generation of traumatized first responders and military personnel who were asked to do the unthinkable. Emily's got a call from a listener who's a nurse at a hospital in the North District. She says the hospital is barely functioning. Half the staff fled. Patients are arriving constantly, some with symptoms, some with injuries from trying to escape infected individuals. The doctors and nurses who remain are overwhelmed. They're running out of supplies, blood, medications, even basic things like bandages. The supply trucks aren't coming, the distribution networks have broken down. She's asking if we know when relief will come. I have to tell her I don't know. I wish I could give her hope, promise that help is on the way, but I don't know if help exists. Every resource is stretched beyond capacity. There might not be relief coming. The time is 12:56 p.m. Let me check in on what's happening in other affected cities. The West Coast city is in similar dire straits to us, maybe worse. The infection there started on the waterfront and has spread rapidly through the dense downtown core. Fires are burning. Communication with that city is becoming sporadic. The Midwest city seems to be holding on better. Smaller population, less dense urban core, faster military response. They've established a secure zone that includes most of the city center, but even there, the situation is tenuous. Internationally, there are reports of isolated incidents in Europe and Asia. Not full-scale outbreaks like here, but individual cases. People who traveled from affected American cities before symptoms appeared. Those individuals have been isolated and the areas are being monitored. The international community is watching in horror as the United States grapples with this catastrophe. Some nations are closing their borders to all American travelers. Some are sending aid, medical teams, supplies. Others are just sealing themselves off and hoping it doesn't reach them. There's growing concern that if this isn't contained within the United States, it will go global. And if it goes global, civilization as we know it could collapse. We're too interconnected, too dependent on international supply chains and cooperation. A pandemic that kills and turns people violent, that spreads as fast as this does, could bring down nations. It sounds like hyperbole, but it's not. We're seeing in real time how quickly order breaks down. One day, normal life. The next day, martial law and burning city. Extend that globally, and you have a cascading failure of government's infrastructure society. The listener is asking about rural areas. Is it safer in the countryside? Probably, yes. Lower population density means less chance of encountering infected individuals, more space to isolate, easier to defend. If you have the option to get to a rural area safely, it's likely a better bet than staying in the city. But getting there is the challenge. The roads are checkpoints and chaos. You might not be allowed to leave the quarantine zone, and if you do make it out, rural communities might not welcome refugees from the city. Fear makes people protective, suspicious. You might find yourself turned away at gunpoint. The time now is 1:17 p.m. 8 hours since this began. It's afternoon now. Normally I'd be thinking about lunch, about the rest of my workday, about evening plans. Now those concerns seem trivial. Food is just fuel to keep going. Work is survival. Evening plans are hoping to live until tomorrow. I'm hungry though. Emily and I are sharing some food from the vending machines. Chips, candy bars, soda. Not nutritious, but it'll keep us going. We need to ration what we have. We don't know how long we'll be here. The building has other food, a kitchen on the second floor, but that would require leaving the studio. Not ready to do that yet. Up here we're secure, down there unknown. Let's talk about communication for a moment. Cell networks are degrading. Too much traffic, not enough capacity. Towers going offline in affected areas. If you're trying to reach someone, texts are more reliable than calls right now. Texts use less bandwidth, get through even when networks are congested. Keep messages short. Check in with loved ones, but don't clog the networks with long conversations. Others need to get through too. Internet is also slowing down, but still functional in most areas. Social media is where a lot of real-time information is being shared. Follow official accounts for authorities, emergency services, news organizations, but be critical of what you read. Lots of misinformation gets spread during crises. If something sounds too extreme or too good to be true, verify it before acting on it or sharing it. And listen to radio. Radio infrastructure is more resilient than cell or internet. We can broadcast as long as we have power. Even if other communications go down, radio will likely keep working. Keep a battery-powered radio with you. Old technology, but reliable. Emily's monitoring ham radio frequencies too. Amateur radio operators are active, sharing information, coordinating with each other. There's a whole network of people out there helping however they can. It's heartening. Even as official systems break down, people are finding ways to connect and help each other. The time is 1:34 p.m. I'm hearing that some wealthy individuals are evacuating by helicopter. Private choppers landing on rooftops, picking up executives and their families, flying them out of the city to private estates or even out of the country. Must be nice to have that option. The rest of us are stuck here dealing with this on the ground. There's something deeply unfair about that. We're all human, all equally deserving of safety. But money buys options that others don't have. In a crisis, inequality becomes even more stark. But resentment doesn't help. The rich fleeing doesn't make my situation worse. It doesn't consume resources I need. Let them go. The rest of us will figure this out. A listener texts asking about religion, about whether this is some kind of divine judgment or end times prophecy. Look, I'm not a theologian. I don't have answers about the spiritual meaning of catastrophe. People find comfort in faith, and if that helps you cope, I support that. Pray, if it gives you strength. But also take practical action. God helps those who help themselves, as the saying goes. Faith and preparation aren't mutually exclusive. As for whether this is the end of the world, I don't know. It could be, or it could be a horrific crisis that humanity survives and learns from. History is full of plagues and disasters that seemed apocalyptic at the time, but humanity endured. The Black Death killed a third of Europe, but civilization continued. We're resilient as a species. We adapt, we survive. Maybe this is no different, or maybe this time is truly the end. Either way, all we can do is our best with the time we have. The time now is 1:52 p.m. News update. The CDC has issued preliminary findings. They've identified the pathogen as a modified prion disease combined with a viral vector. Prions are misfolded proteins that cause neurological degeneration. Mad cow disease is caused by prions. The virus allows rapid transmission and spread. The combination is devastating, fast-acting, fatal, and contagious. There is no known cure for prion diseases. Once infected, the outcome is certain death. The timeline from infection to symptoms is about 1 hour. The timeline from symptoms to death is variable, but most victims die within 24 to 48 hours. However, during that time, they're active, aggressive, and highly dangerous. This is the nightmare scenario. A disease that kills everyone it infects, spreads rapidly, and turns victims into violent threats before they die. If this is accurate, and the CDC's preliminary findings are usually reliable, then everyone infected today will be dead by Wednesday. But they'll spend their remaining time attacking others, spreading the infection further. The math is grim. Exponential growth. Each infected person infects multiple others before dying. Those new infections infect more. Within days, you could have a city of millions reduced to scattered survivors and roaming infected. Emily looks pale. She heard the report too. She's thinking the same thing I am. If this spreads beyond containment, if it reaches the wider population, humanity might not survive this. Not as a functioning civilization anyway. Maybe scattered pockets of survivors, isolated communities that manage to avoid infection, but the world as we know it would be over. I don't want to cause panic, but I also won't lie to people. You deserve to know what we're facing. This is existential. This threatens everything. But knowing that can also be clarifying. When you know the stakes, you know what you have to do. Survive. Protect those you love. Help others when you can. Make every day count, because it might be your last. The time is 2:11 p.m. I need to be honest with you. I'm scared. I've been trying to stay calm, to be the steady voice, but I'm terrified. I'm sitting here in a radio studio watching the world burn, and I don't know if I'll live through this. I don't know if anyone will. Emily and I could be among the last people broadcasting. Other stations have gone silent. Across the city, across the country, radio frequencies are going dark. Soon it might just be us, and then maybe not even us. But I'll keep going as long as I can, because somebody needs to. Somebody needs to bear witness, to record what's happening, to provide what comfort they can. If I'm going down, I'm going down at this microphone, doing my job, serving the people who are listening. Emily just squeezed my shoulder. She's still here too. We're in this together. I'm grateful not to be alone. Let's focus on practical matters. If you're sheltering in place, here's what you need to know. Water is the priority. Humans can survive weeks without food, but only days without water. If you have tap water, fill every container you have while it's still running. Bathtubs, sinks, pots, bottles, everything. The water treatment system might fail. When it does, tap water stops. If you're out of water and need to find more, avoid standing water. It's likely contaminated. Running water from streams or rivers is better, but should be boiled if possible. 10 minutes of rolling boil will kill most pathogens. For this particular infection, we don't know if boiling is sufficient, but it's better than nothing. Food is next. Non-perishable items are best. Canned goods, dried foods, anything that doesn't require refrigeration. Ration what you have. You don't know how long you'll need it. 1 can a day is enough to keep you alive if necessary. Not comfortable, but alive. Security. Make sure your doors and windows are locked and reinforced if possible. Furniture against doors adds extra barrier. Windows are vulnerable. If you have boards or shutters, use them. The infected are strong and determined. A simple lock might not stop them. You need layers of defense. Weapons. I hate saying this, but you might need to defend yourself. Kitchen knives, tools, anything heavy or sharp. Keep them accessible but safe from children if you have kids with you. Remember, you might have to fight neighbors or friends who've been infected. The person attacking you might have been someone you knew. That makes it harder, but you can't hesitate. Your life depends on it. The time now is 2:36 p.m. I'm getting reports that the infection has spread to the East District. That's the residential area where a lot of families live. Schools in that district were in session despite the earlier recommendation to close. If the infection reaches the schools, children are at risk. There's nothing more horrifying than that thought. Children being hurt, being killed, or worse, being infected. Schools are supposed to be safe places. Now they might be death traps. Parents who have children in schools, if you can reach them safely, get them out. Coordinate with other parents if possible. Strengthen numbers. But if the schools are already compromised, don't risk going in. I know that sounds heartless. Your every instinct screams to save your child. But if you go into an infected zone, you'll likely die, and then you can't help anyone. It's an impossible decision. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you're being forced to make choices like this. Emily's crying now. I think the reality is hitting her. This isn't just a news story we're covering. This is real. People are dying. Children are at risk. Our city, our home, is being destroyed. She's handling it better than most would. She's staying strong, staying functional. But the emotional toll is there. Let's play some music. We both need a minute. I'll be back. We're back. 2:51 p.m., 9 hours since this started. I took a few minutes to compose myself, You probably heard the music, maybe wondered if we'd gone off air. We're still here, still broadcasting, still fighting to keep it together. While we were away, the situation has continued to deteriorate. The East District is now experiencing significant infection rates. Multiple schools have been evacuated or locked down. Parents are converging on the schools, creating chaos and potentially spreading infection further. Police are trying to manage the situation, but they're outmatched. Not enough officers, too much ground to cover, too many people panicking. The National Guard perimeter downtown has been breached in several locations. Infected individuals are spreading outward into adjoining districts. The military is falling back to secondary positions, trying to establish new containment lines. But it's a fighting retreat. They're losing ground. The infected are relentless. They don't tire, don't feel fear, don't retreat. They just keep coming. Human soldiers, no matter how well trained, can only hold against that for so long before exhaustion and fear break them. I'm seeing social media posts from soldiers at the perimeter. They're sharing their experiences, their trauma. One soldier wrote that he's killed over 30 people today. People he knew were once human, once had families and lives and dreams. Now they're monsters and he's shooting them like rabid animals. He doesn't know if he can live with what he's done, assuming he survives. The psychological damage from this crisis will last generations if there are generations to follow. The time is 3:09 p.m. Let me try to get an update from the health department. Emily, can you try calling Dr. Chen again? Emily's trying, but the lines are busy. Health department is slammed. Not surprising. They're dealing with the biggest public health crisis in history. Our questions are low priority. Can't blame them for that. The listener sends a message saying thank you for staying on air, says it helps to hear a human voice, to know someone else is out there experiencing this too. That message means more than I can express. Knowing that we're making a difference, even a small one, that makes this worthwhile. If even one person feels less alone because of this broadcast, it's worth every minute. Others are sending messages too. Stories of what they're seeing, what they're experiencing. A woman barricaded in her apartment with her 3 children. A man who watched his wife turn violent and had to flee. A teenager alone because his parents went to work this morning and never came home. Each story is a tragedy. Multiply that by thousands, by millions. The scale of suffering is incomprehensible. But there are also stories of hope. Neighbors helping each other, strangers sharing supplies, people risking themselves to save others. Humanity's capacity for compassion doesn't disappear even in the worst circumstances. Maybe especially in the worst circumstance, when everything else is stripped away, when survival is uncertain, kindness becomes more precious. The time now is 3:27 p.m. The sun will set in a few hours. Night is coming. That's terrifying. Darkness provides cover for the infected. Visibility drops. Fear increases. People have been dealing with this in daylight, able to see threats approaching. Tonight will be different. Tonight will test everyone's resolve. If you're somewhere with power, keep lights on. Lights deter both infected and human predators. If power fails, use flashlights or candles carefully. Fire is a risk in its own right. If you have night vision equipment, lucky you. Most people don't. We'll be functioning with limited visibility and heightened paranoia. Every sound will be a potential threat. Every shadow might be an infected person. Try to get rest before nightfall if you can. You might not sleep once it's dark. Adrenaline and fear will keep you alert, but your body needs rest. Take turns on watch if you're with others. Sleep in shifts. Someone always awake, always listening. It's going to be a long night. Emily suggests we should think about our own security here at the station. We're several floors up, but that doesn't mean we're safe. The building has access points, stairwells, elevators. If infected get into the building, they could reach this floor. We should barricade the studio door, make sure we're secure. I agree. Let's do it now while we have light. We're moving furniture, desks, filing cabinets, anything heavy, pushing it against the door. It won't stop a determined assault, but it'll slow things down, give us warning. The studio has a second door leading to the production booth. We're blocking that too. Windows are high up, not accessible from the outside. That's good. We're creating a defensible position. Okay, we're as secure as we can make it. The time is 3:53 p.m. Let me get back to broadcast. Breaking news, the president has announced a nationwide curfew starting at 6 p.m. local time in all states. Mandatory. Anyone outside after curfew will be detained. Shoot-on-sight orders have been authorized for anyone in restricted zones who doesn't comply with lawful orders. This is martial law. The military has authority over civilian law enforcement. Constitutional protections are suspended in the interest of public safety. This is unprecedented in modern American history. Yes, martial law has been declared locally during emergencies, but never nationwide, never with this degree of authority granted to the military. The president is taking extraordinary measures. That tells you how serious the government views this threat. They're willing to suspend democracy, willing to authorize lethal force against citizens because the alternative is the collapse of the nation. Will it work? Can military control contain this? I don't know. In urban areas, maybe. In rural areas where population is dispersed, enforcement will be difficult. And enforcement requires manpower, requires soldiers and police on the street. Every person doing enforcement is a person not fighting the infection directly. Resources are finite. Choices have to be made about how to deploy them. The time is 4:14 p.m. I'm exhausted. I've been on air for nearly 10 hours straight with only brief breaks. My voice is getting hoarse. My mind is foggy. But I can't stop. People are counting on this broadcast. I'll keep going as long as I physically can. Emily's brought me water and coffee. Bless her. I don't know what I'd do without her. Let's take listener questions for a few minutes. Give me something to focus on besides the horror outside. First question, how long can someone survive without power? Depends on the situation. In summer heat or winter cold, lack of power for heating or cooling can be fatal within days. In moderate weather, longer. The real issue is what else you lose with power. No refrigeration means food spoils quickly. No lights means difficulty seeing at night. No ability to charge phones or devices means loss of communication. No power for water pumps means potentially no running water in high-rise buildings. You can survive weeks without power if you're prepared, but comfort and safety degrade quickly. Next question, should I leave the city or stay put? That depends on your specific situation. If you have a safe place to go outside the city and a safe way to get there, leaving might be wise. If you don't, staying might be safer than wandering into the unknown. Consider your resources, your abilities, your dependence. Make the choice that gives you the best chance of survival. There's no universal answer. Next, what if I've been bitten but don't have symptoms yet? Isolate yourself immediately. Tell anyone you're with that you've been exposed. If symptoms haven't appeared within 2 hours of the bite, you might be okay, but we don't know for sure. The hour incubation seems typical, but there could be variation. Stay isolated for at least 6 hours. If you're still symptom-free after that, cautiously rejoin others but remain vigilant for any signs of infection. Next, can children be carriers without showing symptoms? We don't know. The data suggests anyone infected shows symptoms within an hour and proceeds to the aggressive stage quickly. But children's immune systems are different. It's possible they could react differently to the pathogen. Until we know more, treat any exposed child as potentially infectious. It's heartbreaking but necessary. The time now is 4:36 p.m., less than 90 minutes until curfew. People are scrambling to get home to secure their positions before 6 p.m. Traffic is chaotic where roads are still open. Accidents are occurring. People are desperate, driving recklessly. If you're on the road, be careful. Watch for erratic drivers. An accident right now could be fatal, not from the crash itself, but from being stranded and vulnerable. I'm watching the news feed. They're showing aerial footage of downtown. It's surreal. Fires burning everywhere. Streets littered with debris and bodies. Small groups of infected wandering or running. Occasional military vehicles moving through, soldiers on patrol. It looks like a war zone. Looks like every post-apocalyptic movie you've ever seen, except it's real. This is happening now in our city, on our streets. Emily's pointing at the window. I can see smoke closer now. The fires are spreading. Wind is picking up, which will make them worse. Firefighters have abandoned any attempt to fight them. The city is burning and there's nothing being done to stop it. Historic buildings, people's homes, businesses built over generations, all going up in flames. The physical destruction mirrors the social destruction. Our city is dying. A listener asks if there's any good news. I wish I could give you some. The only positive thing I can say is that you're alive right now. As long as you're alive, there's hope. We don't know what tomorrow brings. Maybe scientists will figure out a cure. Maybe the infection will burn itself out. Maybe reinforcements will arrive and secure the city. Maybe we'll find a way to adapt and survive. Or maybe none of that will happen, but today, this moment, you're alive. Hold on to that. The time is 4:58 p.m. 2 minutes until curfew. If you're not where you need to be, you're out of time. Get indoors, get to safety. The next few hours will be critical. Night is falling and the curfew is beginning. Military and police have shoot-on-sight orders. The infected are out there. Stay inside. Stay quiet. Stay alive. Emily and I are settling in for what's going to be a long night. We have food and water for a few days. We have the studio secured. We have power from the building's generators. We can keep broadcasting. We will keep broadcasting through the night, through whatever comes. I'm Daniel Rothman. We're not going anywhere. The time is 5:19 p.m. Dusk is approaching. The light is fading. I can see the city lights starting to come on, at least in areas that still have power. It's almost pretty. The city lights against the darkening sky if you don't know what's happening down there in those buildings, on those streets. But we do know. Those lights represent people, scared people trying to survive the night. The curfew is in effect now. Reports are coming in of people being stopped at checkpoints, some being detained, some being turned back. A few instances of people being shot for not complying. The military isn't messing around. Orders are orders. Comply or die. It's harsh, but possibly necessary. Any compromise in the perimeter could allow infected through. Can't risk that for individual freedoms. Survival of the many outweighs the rights of the few. That's the calculus of Christ. I'm hearing gunfire in the distance. Not constant, but periodic bursts. Firefights between military and infected, or possibly military and armed civilians who didn't comply with curfew. Each gunshot represents a life ending. After today, death has lost some of its weight. When thousands are dying, when apocalypse is underway, individual deaths become statistics. That's a horrifying thing to admit, but it's true. I've become numb to it. We all have. It's a defense mechanism. If you feel the full weight of every death, you'd be paralyzed by grief. So you go numb. You focus on survival. You save mourning for later, if there is a later. The time now is 5:41 p.m. Full darkness in about an hour. Emily and I are taking turns keeping watch. One of us monitors the news and communication channels while the other rests. I'm on watch first. Emily's lying on the floor in the corner, using a jacket as a pillow. She fell asleep almost immediately. Exhaustion. The body takes what it needs. I'm jealous. I don't think I could sleep right now even if I tried. Too much adrenaline, too much fear, too much responsibility to keep this broadcast going. Let update you on what we know about the night ahead. Military has night vision equipment and is conducting patrols in secured areas. They're trying to clear infected from the perimeter zones to solidify control. It's dangerous work. Close quarters combat in darkness against enemies that don't feel pain or fear. Casualties among military are expected to increase through the night. But if they can clear and hold key areas, it'd create safe zones for civilians. That's the hope anyway. Hospitals that are still functioning have gone into lockdown mode, doors sealed, windows barricaded, only emergency personnel allowed in. Patients already inside are trapped there, for better or worse. At least they're in a building with medical supplies and trained staff. That's more than most people have. Shelters have been set up in government buildings, schools, community centers. They're accepting refugees who made it through the checkpoints. Capacity is limited, and conditions are crowded, but it's better than being on the street. If you're in a shelter, follow the rules, cooperate with authorities, help each other. Community is essential now. We survive together or we die alone. The time is 6:03 p.m. Night has officially fallen. The city is dark except for scattered lights. Most of downtown is black. Power's out there. Fires provide some illumination, but it's flickering and unreliable. I'm looking at the cityscape and it's alien. This morning it was familiar, every building and street known. Now it's a dark maze filled with threats. The geography hasn't changed, but the reality has. I'm thinking about all the people out there right now in that darkness, alone or in small groups, fighting, listening to every sound, wondering if they'll survive until morning, wondering if morning will even come for them. I'm thinking about families huddled together, about parents trying to comfort children who don't understand why the world has gone mad. I'm thinking about the elderly who can't flee, who are trapped in homes or nursing facilities, vulnerable. I'm thinking about the sick in hospitals, hoping someone will still be there to care for them. I'm thinking about soldiers on the front lines fighting monsters that used to be people. I'm thinking about all of them and I feel helpless. All I can do is talk into this microphone and hope it helps somehow. Emily's awake again. She couldn't sleep, she says. Nightmares. I'm not surprised. Our waking reality is nightmare enough. She's brought me more coffee. We're going through our supply quickly, but it doesn't matter. If we run out, we run out. Staying alert is more important than rationing caffeine. The time now is 6:27 p.m. We're 90 minutes into the night. 12 more hours until dawn. That feels like an eternity. We'll get through it though. 1 minute at a time. 1 hour at a time. That's all we can do. A listener texts asking if there's any word from the government about a cure or treatment. The CDC is working around the clock, but prion diseases are notoriously difficult to treat. There are no known cures. The best they might manage is something to slow progression or reduce symptoms, but developing treatments takes time. Clinical trials, safety studies, manufacturing, distribution. We're talking months or years for a traditional drug development process. In a crisis, that timeline can be compressed, but still, we're looking at weeks minimum before anything is available, and that's optimistic. By then, this will be over one way or another, either contained or having swept across the world. There's also talk of vaccine development. If they can create a vaccine, they can inoculate the uninfected population and prevent further spread. That's a more promising approach. Vaccines can be developed faster than treatments. But again, we're talking weeks, and a vaccine only helps if you get it before exposure. Anyone already infected is beyond help, so the focus has to be on containment first, buying time for medical science to catch up. The time is 6:49 p.m. I'm monitoring emergency radio channels. A lot of activity. Military units reporting contact with infected, clearing operations underway in multiple districts, civilian reports of breaches in some shelters, infected getting inside. Those reports cut off abruptly. You can imagine what happened. When a shelter is breached, everyone inside is at risk. Close quarters, lots of potential victims, rapid spread. A shelter can become a death trap in minutes. If you're in a shelter and there's any indication of infected inside, get out. Better to take your chances on the street than be trapped with infected in an enclosed space. Look for alternate shelter, another building, anywhere you can secure yourself. Don't rely on authority figures to protect you. They're overwhelmed and might not be able to respond. You have to protect yourself. The time now is 7:06 p.m., 2 hours into the night, 10 hours until dawn. The evening is young and already it feels endless. I'm playing music periodically to give listeners something besides constant crisis update. Music is soothing, reminds us of normal times, provides a brief mental escape, but I won't abandon the broadcast. Between songs, I'm here, talking, sharing information, providing human connection. That's my job. That's my purpose. As long as I have breath and a microphone, I'll continue. Emily's looking at social media. She says there are posts from around the world, people in other countries watching America burn, some offering prayers and support, some expressing horror and fear that it will spread to them, some making callous jokes or expressing schadenfreude, human nature, in someone else's tragedy. Some see an opportunity for entertainment or validation of their worldviews. It's disgusting but not surprising. People are complicated. Good and bad coexist in all of us, but mostly the world is watching in sympathy and terror. Sympathy for what we're enduring, terror that they might be next. The international community is mobilizing aid, but also preparing defenses, closing borders, screening travelers, stockpiling supplies, activating emergency plans. They're learning from our catastrophe. Maybe that's the one positive outcome. If we fall, maybe others will be better prepared. The time is 7:32 p.m. I need to talk about something difficult: suicide. In times like this, some people decide they'd rather end their own lives than face what's coming. I understand that impulse. The future looks bleak. Suffering seems certain. Death might seem like a mercy, but I want to say this clearly: your life has value. Even now, even in this nightmare. As long as you're alive, there's a chance things will improve. A chance for rescue, for cure, for survival. If you die, that chance becomes zero. So please, hold on. Get through tonight. Get through tomorrow. Take it one day at a time. Don't give up. If you're thinking about harming yourself, reach out to someone. Talk to a friend, a family member, even a stranger online. Connection helps. Sharing the burden helps. You don't have to face this alone. We're all in this together. Your life matters. You matter. I know those words might sound hollow given the circumstances, but I mean them. I'm fighting to stay alive because I believe life is worth living even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Giving up is easy. Surviving takes courage. Be courageous. The time now is 7:54 p.m. Emily's on watch now. I'm trying to rest for a few minutes, leaning back in the chair, closing my eyes. I can hear the city outside, sirens, gunfire, explosions, screams. The soundtrack of apocalypse. It's hard to rest with that noise, but I need to try. My body is demanding it. I'll be back in a few minutes. 8:21 p.m. I dozed off briefly, dreamed of normalcy, morning coffee, traffic reports, complaining about weather, then woke up to reality. For a moment I was disoriented, couldn't remember where I was or why. Then it came crashing back. the infection, the chaos, the city burning. Reality is the nightmare we can't wake up from. Emily says while I was asleep, there was an update from the National Guard. They successfully established a secure perimeter around the South District. That area is now considered safe, or as safe as anywhere can be right now. Civilians in that district are being organized into defended zones with military protection. It's a small victory, but we'll take it. Proof that containment is possible, that ground can be held. If the South District can be secured, other districts can too. Maybe there's a path forward. Maybe this isn't hopeless, but the casualties required to secure that district were high. Dozens of soldiers dead, hundreds of infected put down. The cost of every victory in this war is steep. We're paying in blood for every inch of ground secured. The time is 8:47 p.m. I'm getting reports of looting in the West District, stores being broken into, supplies taken. Some of it is survival, people taking food and water and medicine, that I can understand and even condone under the circumstances. But some of it is opportunistic theft, people stealing electronics and jewelry, things that had no survival value. That's just criminal, taking advantage of tragedy for personal gain. It's despicable. But law enforcement can't respond. They're focused on the infection. Looters are low priority, so it continues unchecked. In some cases, store owners are defending their businesses with guns. Firefights between owners and looters. More senseless death. More chaos adding to chaos. If you're thinking about looting, don't. You might get shot by an owner or a vigilante. You might get caught by authorities and detained or worse. And you might take supplies that someone else needs to survive. Take only what you need. Leave the rest. We need to maintain some semblance of morality even as the world ends. The time now is 9:09 p.m., 4 hours into the night, 8 hours until dawn. Halfway through the darkness, we're going to make it. Emily and I are going to survive this night. I'm starting to believe that. We're secure here. We have supplies, we have each other. As long as the power holds and the infected don't breach our building, we're okay. We might actually be okay. But my optimism is personal, not universal. Out there, people are dying. Every minute, more deaths. The toll is climbing into the tens of thousands now, maybe hundreds of thousands when you count all the affected cities. By morning, it could be millions. This is a catastrophe of historic proportions. Future generations, if there are future generations, will look back on this day as a turning point. The day civilization nearly ended. Or maybe the day it did end. Too soon to say which. A listener asks, what happens if we lose power? Good question. The building has generators with fuel for about a week. After that, we're dependent on the grid. If the grid fails and the generators run out, we go off air. The broadcast ends. I don't want to think about that. This broadcast is my purpose right now, the thing keeping me sane. Without it, I'm just another scared person hiding in the dark. But I have to prepare mentally for that possibility. All things end. Maybe this broadcast will too. The time is 9:36 p.m. Emily just showed me something online. There's a video being shared widely. It's from a shelter downtown. Someone recorded it on their phone before the shelter was overrun. You can see hundreds of people packed into a gymnasium. Families, children, elderly. They look scared but hopeful. They think they're safe. Then you hear screaming from outside. The doors burst open. Infected pour in. Chaos. People running, falling, being attacked. The video cuts off, but you know how it ends. Everyone in that shelter likely died or got infected. It's the most horrifying thing I've ever seen. Not because of graphic violence, though there was some, but because of the hope turning to terror. These people thought they were safe. They trusted the authorities to protect them, and they died for that trust. It's a reminder that nowhere is truly safe. Safety is an illusion. All we have is luck and preparation and the will to survive. Sometimes that's not enough. I don't want to watch videos like that anymore. I don't need to see the horror. I can hear it outside. I can imagine it. Seeing it just makes the nightmares more vivid. The time now is 10:02 p.m., 5 hours into the night, 7 hours until dawn. I'm settling into a rhythm. Update listeners, share information, play a song, repeat. It's mechanical, but it works. Gives me structure, keeps me focused. Without structure, I'd spiral. The mind needs patterns to hold on to when everything else is chaos. Emily and I are talking about what happens after. Assuming we survive, assuming humanity survives, what does the world look like? Do cities get rebuilt? Do we go back to normal life? Or is this a permanent change, the end of the modern era and the beginning of something else? We don't have answers, but it's interesting to speculate. Maybe this forces humanity to change, to value different things. Community over individualism, sustainability over growth, resilience over efficiency. Maybe some good comes from this tragedy. Probably not. Probably it's just tragedy, senseless and wasteful. But maybe. The time is 10:28 p.m. I'm hearing that communications with one of the other affected cities has been lost. All broadcasts, all internet traffic, all phone service gone. Either infrastructure has failed or something worse. Maybe the city fell completely. Maybe there's no one left to communicate. That's a chilling thought. An entire city, millions of people just gone. Wiped out in less than a day. If it happened there, it could happen here. It could happen anywhere. We need to succeed at containment. We need to stop this spread, not just for ourselves, but for everyone, everywhere. This is a fight for the species. Humanity's survival is at stake. No exaggeration, no hyperbole. This is existential, and we're losing. But we're not lost yet. The military is holding lines. Scientists are working on solutions. People are surviving, adapting, fighting. We're not done. As long as one person refuses to give up, we're not done. The time now is 10:54 p.m., 6 hours into the night, 6 hours until dawn, the midpoint of darkness. From here we start counting down to light. That's psychologically important. The second half of a hard journey is easier than the first half. The end is in sight, even if it's still hours away. We can make it. We will make it. I'm looking at the generator fuel gauge. Still good for days. The broadcast will continue. I'll keep talking. You'll keep listening. We'll get through this together. Emily's made more coffee, strong and bitter but hot, warmth and caffeine. Two of life's simple pleasures that still exist even as everything else falls apart. I'm grateful for small things now, a cup of coffee, a safe room, a colleague who stayed. These things mean more than they did yesterday. Perspective shifts fast during crisis. The time is 11:19 p.m. Breaking news, the military has announced a major offensive beginning at midnight. They're going to push into downtown in force, attempting to clear the area and rescue survivors. It's a risky operation, urban combat against an enemy that doesn't retreat or surrender, but it's necessary. People are trapped downtown. If they're not rescued soon, they'll die, either from the infected or from lack of food and water or from the fires. This offensive is their only chance. The military is calling for volunteer support. Anyone with medical training, anyone with combat experience, anyone willing to help. They're setting up a staging area at the City Coliseum. If you want to help and you're capable, that's where you go. But understand the risks. This will be dangerous. Many volunteers won't come back. But if you're willing to take that risk to save others, you're braver than most. You're a hero. We need heroes right now. I'm not going. I'm no soldier. I'd be a liability. My contribution is here at this microphone. Emily's not going either. We're staying put, staying on air. That's our role. Everyone has a role. Not everyone's just to fight directly. Some of us support in other ways. There's no shame in that. The time now is 11:44 p.m. 16 minutes until the offensive begins. Military units are moving into position. Armored vehicles, infantry support units. They're going in heavy, maximum force. The goal is to overwhelm the infected through sheer firepower and numbers. Kill everything in sight that's infected, secure survivors, extract. Simple in concept, horrifying in execution. I'm saying a prayer for those soldiers. I'm not particularly religious, but it feels right. They're risking everything for strangers. That's nobility. That's humanity at its best. They deserve every blessing, every bit of luck, every ounce of divine intervention that might exist. Emily's praying too, quietly to herself. Her lips moving in silent words. I don't know what she's saying, but I hope someone's listening. We need miracles now. The time is 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes. I'm watching the live feed from a news helicopter circling the area. You can see the military force assembled at the perimeter. Hundreds of soldiers, dozens of vehicles, floodlights illuminating the breach points. It looks like an invasion force, which I guess it is. Invading our own city to take it back from monsters. Midnight. The offensive begins. Vehicles move forward, soldiers advance. Gunfire erupts, tracers lighting the night. Explosions as they breach barriers. It's a full-scale assault. The noise must be deafening on the ground. From the aerial view, it's chaos. Smoke, fire, movement. Hard to tell what's happening. The feed is shaky. The helicopter banking to avoid danger. The time is 12:07 a.m. 7 minutes in. Reports are coming over military radio. Heavy contact. Large numbers of infected. Some units are pinned down. Others are advancing. It's fluid. Moment to moment, block by block. This is urban warfare at its worst. Close quarters, civilians mixed with enemies, infrastructure collapses, fire hazards. Even with overwhelming force, this is hard. The infected are everywhere, thousands of them, and they fight without fear or tactics, just savage aggression. That's hard to counter. But the military has discipline and firepower. They're making progress, clearing buildings, securing blocks, finding survivors and evacuating them. It's working, slowly, painfully, at tremendous cost, but it's worked. The time now is 12:31 a.m. Half an hour in, the military has secured a foothold downtown. They're holding a several block area and evacuating survivors to that zone before extracting them. So far, they've rescued over 200 people, 200 lives saved. That's something. That's worth the cost. Every life saved is a victory. Every person who wakes up tomorrow alive because of this operation, that justifies the risk and the sacrifice. But casualties among the military are mounting. No official numbers yet, but it's bad. You can hear it in the radio chatter. Units calling for medics, reports of wounded, reports of KIA, killed in action, more lives lost. The price keeps climbing. The time is 12:57 a.m., nearly 1 a.m. 1 hour into the offensive. The military has expanded their secure zone. Multiple blocks now. Maybe 1,000 survivors rescued. But the operation is slowing. Resistance is intensifying as they push deeper downtown. The infected are concentrating in response to the assault. Instead of being spread out, they're massing. That makes them easier to kill in bulk, but also more dangerous. Large groups overwhelming positions. Some military units are being forced to fall back. This could turn bad quickly. If the military loses cohesion, if units become separated and overrun, the offensive could collapse. Then all those soldiers are trapped downtown with the infected. That can't happen. The commanders need to be smart. Advance when possible, retreat when necessary. Don't overextend. Victory is meaningless if you lose your forces achieving it. The time now is 1:23 a.m. I'm exhausted. Emily's exhausted. We're both running on fumes and caffeine. But we keep going. The night's not over. The offensive is ongoing. People are listening. We have to continue. Duty and purpose push us forward even when bodies want to collapse. I'm thinking about all the radio broadcasters throughout history who stayed at their posts during disasters. The guy who broadcast during the Hindenburg crash. The DJ who stayed on air during a hurricane. The reporter who covered wars from the front line. They all understood that being a witness, being a voice during chaos, that's important work. Maybe the most important work. When everything's falling apart, someone needs to tell the truth. To document what's happening, to provide calm in the storm. That's us now. Emily and I, we're the voice in the darkness, we're the constant in the chaos, we matter. The time is 1:49 a.m. 2 hours into the offensive, the military is starting to extract. Mission accomplished to the extent possible. They've secured maybe 3,000 survivors. 3,000 people who were trapped downtown are now being evacuated to safe zones. That's incredible. That's 3,000 lives that would have been lost. 3,000 second chances. 3,000 people who'll see tomorrow. But the cost was severe. Over 100 soldiers dead, 300 wounded, equipment lost, and the downtown area is still infested. The infected weren't eliminated, just pushed back temporarily. As soon as the military withdraws, the infected will reclaim the area. The survivors who couldn't be reached are still trapped. This wasn't a solution, it was a rescue operation. Successful in its limited goal, but not a permanent fix. Still 3,000 people. That's success, that's hope, that's proof we can fight this. We can save people. We can win battles even if the war's outcome is uncertain. The time now is 2:17 a.m. The news is showing footage of the evacuated survivors. They look shell-shocked, covered in dirt and blood, hollow eyes. They've been through hell, but they're alive, being given food, water, medical attention, reunited with families in some cases, tears and embraces, joy and grief mixing together. It's beautiful and heartbreaking. These are the moments that matter, human connection, love surviving despite everything. I'm watching a man reunite with his daughter. She was at school downtown when the infection started. He's been searching for her all day. Thought she was dead, but the military found her in the school, barricaded in a classroom with other students. Brought her out. Now father and daughter are holding each other, both crying. The camera shouldn't be on them. It's a private moment, but I'm glad it is, because we all need to see it. We need to be reminded why we fight. For moments like this, for love, for family, with a chance to hold the people we care about. The time is 2:43 a.m. I need to update everyone on the current situation across the city. Downtown is still lost. The infection is rampant there. The fires continue to burn. No one's fighting them. The entire district will likely be ash by morning, but the perimeter is holding in most places. The South District is secure. The East District is being contested but not lost. The West District is partially overrun, but evacuation is ongoing. The North District, where we are, is mostly secure. Infection rates are low here. Checkpoints are controlling movement. It's not safe, but it's manageable. The National Guard estimates total infected in the metro area at around 50 to 80,000. That's out of a population of 3 million. So roughly 2 to 3% infected. That sounds small, but it's devastating. 80,000 violent infected individuals is more than any civilian population can handle. And the number's growing. Every hour, more people get infected. Exponential growth hasn't stopped. It's slowed due to containment efforts, but not stopped. If we can't reverse the growth, if we can't reduce the number of infected, then eventually they outnumber the uninfected. At that point, game over. So the key is kill infected faster than new infections occur. Aggressive hunting operations. Military going into contested areas and systematically clearing them. It's brutal work. Dangerous. But necessary. If done at scale, infection numbers could peak and start declining. Then we're on the road to recovery. But it requires resources and willpower we might not have. The time now is 3:09 a.m. 4 hours until dawn. We're in the darkest part of the night, 3 a.m. Nothing good happens at 3 a.m. This is when fear peaks, when exhaustion is worst, when hope is hardest to hold on to. But we will hold on. We're so close to morning, so close to light. We can make it. Emily's fallen asleep in the corner. I told her to rest. She argued, but I insisted. One of us needs to be sharp. She's younger, she recovers faster. She can take over when I can't continue. For now, I'm on watch. I'm holding down the broadcast. I'm doing what needs to be done. Talking into this microphone is like talking into the void. Well, I don't know how many people are listening. Could be thousands, could be dozens, could be no one. The feedback mechanisms are down, no way to measure audience. But I assume someone's listening. The idea that I'm speaking to an empty city is too depressing. So I imagine you out there, huddled in your home, radio on low, listening to my voice, drawing comfort from the fact that someone else is awake, someone else is experiencing this too. You're not alone. I'm here with you. We're together in this darkness. The time is 3:36 a.m. I'm looking at global news. The rest of the world is in crisis mode. Borders are sealed, flights canceled, supply chains disrupted, global economy is crashing, stock markets haven't opened. What's the point of financial markets when civilization is collapsing? Money means nothing if there's nothing to buy and no one alive to sell it. But the infection hasn't spread globally yet. There are isolated cases, people who traveled from affected U.S. cities before showing symptoms, but aggressive contact tracing and quarantine measures have so far contained those cases. The rest of the world is watching and learning. They're implementing the strategies that we should have implemented yesterday. They have the advantage of our mistakes. They're preparing for outbreak while they're still healthy. That gives them a chance. If they succeed, if the world outside the U.S. remains infection-free, then humanity survives even if America falls. That's comforting in a way. The species continues. Culture, knowledge, civilization, it all survives just in a different location. We might be sacrificed, but we won't be forgotten. Future humans will study this event, learn from it, maybe honor the victims, maybe vilify the authorities who failed. Either way, we'll be remembered. That's something. The time now is 4:01 a.m. 3 hours until dawn. I can feel the night loosening its grip. It's still dark, but the quality of darkness is changing, becoming less absolute. The deepest dark is behind us. From here, it's a gradual lightening. Pre-dawn, the world holding its breath before the sun returns. I'm hearing less gunfire now, less screaming. Either things are calming down, or I've become so accustomed to the noise that I don't register it anymore. Probably the latter. Habituation. The human brain adapts to constant stimuli by filtering it out. War zones are loud initially, then fade into background noise. Same principle. My brain is protecting me from the constant assault of apocalyptic sounds by making them less noticeable. But they're still there. The city is still in agony. People are still dying. The crisis continues. Just because I don't hear every scream doesn't mean they're not screaming. The time is 4:28 a.m. Emily's awake. She looks better. Few hours of sleep helped. She's taking over the broadcast for a bit. I need to rest. can't keep going without a break. She's more than capable. I trust her completely. If something happens while I'm asleep, she'll handle it. She'll wake me if needed. But I hope she doesn't need to. I hope the next 2 hours are quiet. I hope I can close my eyes and escape into unconsciousness and not dream. I'm handing the microphone to Emily. Be kind to her. She's been through the same hell as the rest of us. But she's strong. She'll take care of you. I'll be back soon. This is Emily. Daniel's resting. I'll be your voice for the next little while. The time is 4:31 a.m. Just over 2 hours until sunrise. We're almost there, everyone. We've made it through the worst of the night. The darkness is fading. Morning is coming. Hold on just a bit longer. I want to take a moment to thank all of you for listening, for staying with us through this impossible day. I know you have your own struggles, your own fears, but you've kept the radio on, you've stayed connected. That means something. It means we're still a community even when everything else has fallen apart. Daniel's been incredible today. He's been broadcasting for almost 24 hours straight with minimal breaks. He's exhausted, he needs rest, but he'll be back. He won't abandon you. Neither will I. We're committed to this, to keeping this station on the air, to being your voice in the darkness. That's our promise. The time now is 4:54 a.m. Sunrise is at approximately 6:47 a.m. Less than 2 hours. I can see the faintest hint of gray on the horizon through the window. It's barely perceptible, but it's there. The world remembering that darkness isn't permanent. That light always returns. It's a comforting metaphor. Even in our darkest hour, light will return. Dawn will come. We just have to survive until it does. I'm monitoring emergency channels. The National Guard is reporting that the perimeter held through the night. No major breaches. Some probing attacks by infected, but nothing that couldn't be repelled. That's good news. The military is exhausted, but they maintain discipline. They held the line. That buys us another day. Another chance to push back, to rescue more people, to find solutions. The CDC is reporting progress on understanding the pathogen. They've isolated samples, they're studying its structure, they're beginning to understand how it works. That's the first step toward treatment or vaccine. But even with accelerated research, we're still looking at weeks before anything is available. The question is whether we have weeks, whether we can hold out that long. The answer depends on containment. If we can keep the infected from spreading further, if we can reduce their numbers through systematic elimination, then yes, we can hold out. But if containment fails, if the infection spreads to new areas, to new cities, then we're in a race against exponential growth, a race we might not win. The time is 5:19 a.m., an hour and a half until sunrise. I'm getting reports of people emerging from hiding. Not many, but some. People who hid in basements or attics or sealed rooms all night. They're coming out now that night is ending, looking for supplies, looking for other survivors, looking for hope. It's risky. The infected are still out there. Dawn doesn't magically make them disappear. But I understand the impulse. After a night of hiding in darkness, you want to move, to act, to reassert some control over your life. If you're thinking about going outside, please be careful. Wait until full daylight if possible. Take a weapon. Don't go alone if you can help it. Stay alert. The infected are less active at night, but they don't sleep. They're still dangerous. And remember, other desperate humans can be dangerous too. Trust is a luxury we can't always afford right now. Be cautious of everyone until you're sure of their intention. The time now is 5:42 a.m. Sunrise in just over an hour. The sky is definitely lighter now. Not bright, but no longer true darkness. The stars are fading. The horizon is showing color. Dark blue becoming lighter blue. It's beautiful. I'd forgotten how beautiful sunrise is. When you live in a city, you take it for granted. Light comes and goes and you don't notice. But after a night like this, after hours of darkness and fear, seeing the light return is profound. It's renewal. It's promise. It's hope made visible. Daniel's stirring. I think he's waking up. Let me check on him. Daniel's awake. He looks rough, but he's functional. He's had maybe 90 minutes of sleep. Not enough, but better than nothing. He's drinking water, eating a granola bar from the vending machine, preparing to take over the broadcast again. I'm glad. He's better at this than me. He has the voice for it, the experience, the calm authority. I've done my best, but I'll be relieved to hand back to him. The time is 6:03 a.m. 44 minutes until official sunrise, though it's light enough now to see. The city is revealing itself in the growing dawn. Smoke rising from downtown, abandoned vehicles on the streets, debris everywhere, but also signs of life, lights in windows, movement, survivors. We made it through the night. Not all of us. Too many didn't. But those of us who did were still here. We're still fighting. That counts for something. Here's Daniel. He's ready to take over. Thank you for listening to me. Stay safe, everyone. This is Daniel Rothman. I'm back. Emily did a great job. Thank you, Emily. The time is 6:07 a.m. We're minutes from sunrise. A new day is beginning. Day 2 of the crisis. Yesterday we were shocked, confused, overwhelmed. Today we have some understanding, some preparation. We know what we're fighting. We know how to protect ourselves. Knowledge is power. Today we're more dangerous to the infection than we were yesterday. Today we fight back smarter. The military is planning major operations today. Clearing campaigns in contested districts, rescue operations for trapped civilians, infrastructure repair to restore power and water where possible, resupply of shelters, medical treatment for the wounded. It's a full agenda. Maybe too ambitious. But we have to try. We have to push forward. Passivity means death. Action gives us a chance. The time now is 6:29 a.m. 18 minutes until sunrise. I'm watching the sky lighten minute by minute. It's mesmerizing. The transformation from night to day. The world changes color, changes mood. Hope returns with the light. We're diurnal creatures. Darkness frightens us on an instinctual level. Light comforts us. This sunrise is more than just Earth's rotation. It's symbolic. It's psychological. It's survival. I'm getting messages from listeners, people who made it through the night are checking in, telling their stories. A family that barricaded their apartment and heard infected pounding on the door all night, but the door held. A man who hid in a closet while infected ransacked his house but never found him. A woman who climbed onto her roof and spent the night in the cold rather than risk staying inside. Stories of survival, of ingenuity and courage and luck. Each one is a miracle. Each one is a testament to the human will to live. The time is 6:47 a.m. Sunrise. The sun breaks the horizon, light floods the city. For a moment, everything is golden, beautiful. The destruction is still there. The crisis is still there. But in this moment, bathed in morning light, there's beauty. There's hope. We survived the night. We'll face the day together. Good morning, everyone. We made it. Day 2 begins now. The time is 7:03 a.m. The sun is fully up. The city looks different in daylight, less threatening somehow. You can see the damage clearly. Burned buildings, abandoned cars, bodies in the streets. But you can also see survivors, people emerging from hiding, assessing damage, looking for supplies, beginning the process of survival. We're not just victims anymore, we're active participants in our own fate. The National Guard is moving, patrols are heading into contested areas. The plan is to clear block by block, building by building, kill infected, secure survivors, hold ground. It's methodical, it's dangerous, but it's the only way. You can't fight this passively. You have to take the fight to them. Reduce their numbers, reclaim territory, push back. I'm hearing that civilian volunteer groups are forming. People who want to help, not soldiers, just citizens who are willing to fight. They're joining the military operations, providing extra manpower. It's brave, it's risky. Many of them will die, but their contribution matters. Every person fighting is one more chance to save someone else, to reclaim the city, to survive. The time now is 7:26 a.m. I'm getting word that power is being restored to some areas. Utility crews, protected by military escorts, are making repairs. It's dangerous work. Crews are vulnerable while they work, but power is essential. Without it, survival becomes much harder. So they're taking the risk, fixing what's broken, restoring what was lost. It's hopeful. It suggests a belief that there will be a future that needs electricity. Food distribution is starting. Military is setting up distribution points in secure areas. Anyone who needs food can come, get a ration and go. No questions, no paperwork, just survival. There are still supplies, warehouses full of food that didn't burn, stores that can be looted for survival rather than greed. We won't starve, at least not immediately. Water is more complicated. Treatment plants require power and maintenance. Some are offline, but bottled water exists. Reserves can be tapped. We'll manage. The time is 7:51 a.m., 26 hours since this started. A day and 2 hours. It feels like a lifetime. Yesterday morning I was a radio host concerned with traffic and weather. Now I'm a survivor broadcasting from a barricaded studio, helping people navigate apocalypse. The transformation is surreal, but it's real. This is my life now, our lives now. This is what we are until this crisis ends, or we do. I'm thinking about the future. Assuming we survive, assuming humanity survives, what do we become? Does society rebuild? Do we return to normal, or is this the new normal? Cities as war zones, military patrols, constant vigilance against infection, martial law, curfews, fear. Maybe this isn't something we recover from. Maybe this is permanent change. The end of the before times and the beginning of the after times. A historical dividing line like BC and AD. Before infection and after infection. Maybe historians will mark this as the moment civilization ended, or transformed, or evolved. Hard to say from inside the event. The time now is 8:17 a.m. Emily brought me breakfast, vending machine Danish and coffee. It's not good, but it's fuel. I eat mechanically, not tasting. Food is just calories now. Energy to continue, nothing more. We're hearing that the president will address the nation again at 9 a.m., an update on containment efforts, information about relief operations, possibly answers about where this came from and how it started. I'm curious about that. The origin story. Was it the old tunnel downtown, the Cold War containers? Were those maintenance workers patient zero, or is that just coincidence? Was there a deliberate release, terrorism, accident, natural phenomenon? We deserve answers, not just for curiosity, but for justice. Someone or something is responsible for this. Accountability matters even in apocalypse. The time is 8:43 a.m., 17 minutes until the president speaks. I'm watching the news channels. They're all carrying the speech live. This will be important. The president doesn't address the nation multiple times in 24 hours unless the situation is critical. Yesterday's speech was about acknowledging the crisis. Today's will be about where we go from here, about whether there's a path forward or whether we're just managing decline. I'm nervous. I don't know what the president will say. Part of me wants reassurance, wants to hear that everything will be okay, that the government has a plan, that rescue is coming. Part of me knows that's unrealistic. This is beyond any government's ability to quickly resolve. This will take time, if we have time. If the infection can be contained long enough for solutions to be developed and deployed. The time now is 8:58 a.m. 2 minutes. Emily and I are watching the screen. The president appears. He looks worse than yesterday, more tired, more stressed. The weight of this crisis is visible. He's aged years in a day. I feel for him, but I also need him to be strong. We all do. We need leadership. We need hope. The president is speaking. He's providing updates on containment. The infected in the major U.S. cities are estimated at about 200,000 total. Out of a population of over 300 million, that's less than 1/10 of 1%. That sounds manageable, but those 200,000 are concentrated in urban areas, making them far more dangerous than the percentage suggests. They're also growing. Exponential spread continues despite containment effort. The president estimates we need to reduce new infections by at least 80% to stabilize the situation. That requires aggressive action. More military deployment, more resources, more sacrifice. He's announcing a full military draft. All able-bodied adults between 18 and 45 are being called to service, mandatory conscription. We need soldiers. We need people willing to fight. This is total war. Everyone contributes or we lose. It's harsh but probably necessary. Can't fight a war with a volunteer force when the enemy outnumbers and overwhelms through sheer aggression. Need more bodies on the line. He's also announcing that international aid is arriving. Allies are sending military support, medical teams, supplies. The world is rallying to help. That's heartening. We're not alone in this. Humanity is showing its better nature. When one nation falls, others come to its aid. That's civilization. That's what makes us more than animals. We care about each other even across borders and ideologies. The president is talking about the origin now. Preliminary investigations suggest the infection came from biological weapons research conducted during the Cold War. Old programs that were sealed away and forgot. The maintenance workers who discovered the old tunnel yesterday inadvertently released something that should have stayed buried. It wasn't an attack. It wasn't terrorism. It was an accident. A ghost from the past coming back to haunt us. Our own research, our own weapons turned against us by chance and incompetence. That's sobering. This wasn't done to us by an enemy. We did it to ourselves, created the weapon decades ago, sealed it away, forgot about it, and then stumbled into it. The irony is bitter. We survived the Cold War only to be destroyed by its remnants. History's cruelest joke. The president is promising investigations and accountability. Those responsible for maintaining records and securing old sites will be held accountable. But that's cold comfort. Blame doesn't undo the catastrophe. Justice for negligence doesn't bring back the dead. It's necessary but insufficient. We need solutions, not scapegoats. He's ending the speech, calling for unity, for courage, for hope. He believes we can overcome this. He believes in American resilience. I want to believe him. I want to think we'll pull through. But belief doesn't change reality. We'll overcome this or we won't. Belief just makes the fight easier. So I choose to believe, not because I'm confident, but because the alternative is despair. And despair is death. The time now is 9:18 a.m. The speech is over. Emily and I sit in silence for a moment. Processing, a draft, international aid, origin confirmed. It's a lot to take in, but life continues. The broadcast continues. I need to share this information with listeners. Need to help people understand what it means for them. If you're between 18 and 45, you'll be drafted. You'll be called to serve. That's terrifying, but it's also an opportunity to fight back, to make a difference. You'll be trained, you'll be equipped, you'll be part of the solution, or you'll die trying. But at least you'll die fighting rather than hiding. There's honor in that. Cold comfort, but comfort nonetheless. The time is 9:37 a.m. Let me take some listener questions. Give me something to focus on besides the enormity of what we're facing. First question, what happens to children if their parents are drafted? Good question. The government is setting up care facilities for children whose parents are serving. Military dependents have always had support systems. That will be expanded. Your children will be cared for, they'll be safe, or as safe as anyone can be. Don't let concern for them stop you from answering the call. They need you to fight so they have a future. Next, can I be exempt from the draft for medical reasons? Yes, traditional exemptions apply. If you're medically unfit for service, you won't be forced. But if you're capable in any way, you'll be expected to contribute. Even non-combat roles, support, logistics, medical communication, everyone can help somehow. Find your role and fill it. Next, is it true that infected individuals can be cured? No. The CDC has been clear. Once infected, it's fatal. The prion component of the pathogen causes irreversible brain damage. There's no coming back from that. Anyone infected will die. The only question is how much harm they do before death. That's why elimination is the only option. It's brutal, but necessary. We're not killing people. We're putting down monsters who were people. There's a difference. Emotionally and ethically difficult, but a difference nonetheless. The time now is 10:04 a.m. 28 hours since this began. Over a full day. We're into the second day of crisis. The shock is wearing off. This is becoming normal. That's both good and bad. Good because we can function without constant panic. Bad because normalization means acceptance. Acceptance means we've given up on returning to how things were. This is our life now. Fighting for survival. No more illusions. I'm hearing that schools in non-infected areas are reopening. Not to provide normal education, but as shelters and community centers, places for people to gather, to access information and resources, to organize. Teachers are becoming coordinators. Students are becoming volunteers. Everyone has a role. Society is reorganizing around survival rather than prosperity. It's a fundamental shift, but necessary. Can't maintain pre-crisis social structures when the crisis demands different organization. The time is 10:31 a.m. I need to address something I've been avoiding: death. Specifically, what do we do with bodies? Yesterday, tens of thousands died. Today, more will. Proper burial or cremation requires resources we don't have. Infrastructure that's broken, time that doesn't exist. So bodies are being left in streets, in buildings, wherever they fell. That's a health hazard. It's disrespectful. It's awful. But there's no alternative right now. Later, if there is a later, we'll honor the dead. We'll give them the dignity they deserve. But now survival of the living takes priority. The dead understand. They must. Because the alternative is we join them. Emily is crying, thinking about all the death, all the loss. I put my hand on her shoulder, offer what comfort I can, which isn't much. Words are inadequate, but presence helps. Knowing you're not alone in grief helps. We mourn together for everyone lost, for the world that was, for innocence that can't be recovered. The time now is 10:58 a.m. 11 a.m. approaches. Midday. The sun is high. It's almost pleasant outside if you ignore the smoke and sirens. Spring weather. Warm sun, light breeze. Nature doesn't care about human catastrophe. The planet continues regardless. There's something comforting in that. Even if we all die, Earth survives. Life continues. Maybe not human life, but life. The universe doesn't depend on us. We're not as important as we think. That's humbling and oddly reassuring. Our crisis is massive to us, but insignificant cosmically. Perspective matters. I'm philosophizing because I'm tired. When exhaustion sets in, the mind wanders, finds strange comfort in strange thoughts. Existentialism during apocalypse seems appropriate somehow. The time is 11:23 a.m. Emily's monitoring reports of a major civilian initiative. People are organizing neighborhood defense groups, block by block, street by street, residents banding together to protect their homes. They're setting up barricades, patrols, watch systems. It's grassroots self-defense. The military can't be everywhere. Police are stretched thin, so civilians are taking responsibility for their own protection. It's impressive. Shows resilience and community spirit. People adapting to new reality, creating new social structures when old ones fail. Humanity is nothing if not adaptable. If you're in a residential area, consider joining or forming one of these groups. Strength in numbers. Coordinated defense is more effective than individual survival. Share resources, share watch duties, share the burden. Build community, because community is what saves us when everything else fails. The time now is 11:49 a.m. Afternoon is here. The morning rush that used to define this time is gone. No one's commuting. No one's at work in the traditional sense. Work now is survival. Jobs are fighting or supporting fighters or maintaining essential services. Everything else has stopped. The economy is frozen. Stock market is closed indefinitely. Banks are closed. Stores are closed except for emergency distribution. Money has lost meaning when there's nothing to buy, and survival trumps wealth. We've regressed to a barter and resource economy. Trade what you have for what you need. Old model, but it works. A listener asks if the internet will stay up. Good question. Internet relies on infrastructure, power, maintenance. As those degrade, internet will become less reliable. Already seeing slowdowns and outages. Eventually it might fail entirely, but tech companies are working to keep core systems operational, prioritizing communication and information over entertainment and commerce. So email might work when streaming doesn't. Essential services maintained while luxuries fail. Makes sense. Use the internet while you can. Share information, stay connected. Once it's gone, we revert to radio, phone lines if they still work, and eventually face-to-face. Communication is vital. Without it, coordination fails. Coordination is necessary for survival. So yes, keeping internet up is a priority. The time is 12:14 p.m. Past noon, into the afternoon of day 2. 29 and a half hours since this started. I'm looking back at where we were yesterday morning, ignorant, unprepared, living normal lives. Then everything changed in an hour. Makes you think about how fragile civilization is, how quickly it can crumble. We build these complex societies over generations. Cities, technologies, institutions. We think they're permanent, solid, enduring. Then something hits and it all falls apart in a day. We're only ever one disaster away from chaos. That's been true throughout history. We just forget between catastrophes. Maybe if we survive this, we'll remember. We'll build more resilient systems, we'll prepare better, we'll value stability and security over efficiency and growth. Or maybe we'll forget again. Humans have short memories. Crises fade, complacency returns. Probably we'd make the same mistakes eventually. Nature of our species, but maybe not. Maybe this is big enough to permanently change us, to scar our collective consciousness deep enough that we never forget. Time will tell, if there's time. The time is 12:41 p.m. Emily's taking another break. She needs to sleep more. I'm okay for now, caffeinated and driven by purpose. I'll crash eventually, but not yet. Still have hours in me before collapse. The human body can endure remarkable things when necessary. Sleep deprivation, stress, fear. We push through because the alternative is giving up. And I won't give up. Not while people are listening. Not while I can help. Let me talk about mental health again. Because it matters. Everyone listening has been traumatized by yesterday and today. Trauma has long-term effects. Anxiety, depression, PTSD, nightmares, emotional numbness, anger. These are normal responses to abnormal experiences. If you survive physically but break mentally, that's still a loss. So take care of your mind as well as your body. Talk to others, express your feelings. Cry if you need to. Scream if it helps. Don't bottle it up. Trauma that's suppressed becomes toxic. Let it out in safe ways. And if you have access to any mental health support, use it. Therapists, counselors, support groups, even informal ones. Talking helps. Being heard helps. You're not weak for needing help. You're human. We all need help. Anyone who claims otherwise is lying or broken. Asking for help is strength, not weakness. Remember that. The time now is 1:07 p.m. Afternoon continues. I'm hearing that cleanup operations have started in secured areas, bodies being collected, debris being cleared, streets being made passable. It's grim work but necessary. Can't move forward without dealing with the aftermath. The people doing this work are heroes, facing death and destruction to make things better for others. They deserve recognition, they deserve support. If you see someone doing cleanup, thank them. Small gesture but meaningful. Acknowledgement matters. Military operations are continuing. Slow progress in clearing infected from contested zones. It's house-to-house combat, room by room, dangerous and exhausting, but they're making gains. More neighborhoods secured, more survivors found. The plan is working. Slowly, painfully, but working. We might actually win this. Might actually contain and eliminate the infection. That's hope. That's the first real hope I've felt since this started. Maybe we do have a future. The time is 1:34 p.m. I'm looking at reports from other countries. The infections there have been contained. Aggressive quarantine and tracking prevented spread. They learned from our mistakes. They acted faster, harder. Their casualties are in the dozens, not thousands. That's success. That's proof that this can be beaten with proper response. We failed initially because we didn't understand, didn't act fast enough, but others did, and they're safe. That's good. At least humanity will survive even if America struggles. International military forces are arriving, Canadian, Mexican, European troops coming to help us fight. That's remarkable. We're not alone. The world is standing with us. Soldiers from other nations risking their lives for ours. That's humanity at its best. That's the opposite of the nationalism and division that's been growing in recent years. Crisis reveals character, sometimes the worst but sometimes the best. This is the best. Unity, cooperation, sacrifice for others. This is what we should be all the time. Maybe we can be, if we survive. The time now is 2:03 p.m., 30 hours in. Full day plus 6 hours. We're settling into a rhythm. Crisis becomes routine. Shocking at first, then familiar. The human mind is remarkable at adaptation. We can normalize almost anything given time. That's a survival trait, but it's also dangerous. Normalization can breed complacency. Can't let that happen. Yes, this is day 2 and we're less shocked, but the danger hasn't decreased. The infection is still out there. Vigilance is still required. Don't let routine dull awareness. Stay sharp. Stay alive. I'm getting reports that food rationing has been implemented in some areas. Daily calorie allotments. Not starvation, but not abundance either. Enough to survive on. Makes sense. Unknown how long this crisis will last. Need to make supplies stretch. Better to ration early than run out later. If you're in a rationed area, cooperate. Don't hoard. Don't cheat. Everyone's in this together. Shared sacrifice is necessary for collective survival. Selfishness kills communities. Communities are what save us. Think beyond yourself. The time is 2:37 p.m. Emily's awake again. She slept for about 2 hours. Better than nothing. She's taking over monitoring so I can rest my voice. Been talking almost constantly for 30 hours with brief breaks. My throat is raw. My voice is getting raspy. Need to give it a rest or I'll lose it entirely. Emily will hold down the broadcast. I'll be here just quiet for a bit. We're a team. We support each other. That's how this works. This is Emily again. Daniel's resting his voice. He's been incredible. Talking for 30 hours straight is inhuman. But he's done it because you need it. Because we all need connection and information. He's a professional but also a hero. Just want to acknowledge that. The time now is 2:52 p.m. Let me give you an update on the situation. Infected numbers are starting to plateau. The exponential growth is slowing. Containment is working. We're not out of danger, but we're turning a corner. The infection is being beaten back, not quickly, not easily, but definitively. That's huge. That's the difference between collapse and recovery. Rescue operations rescued over 10,000 people today. 10,000 who were trapped or isolated. They're being brought to safe zones, given food and medical care. 10,000 lives saved today. Combined with yesterday's rescues, that's over 13,000. 13,000 people who wouldn't be alive without these efforts. That's a city's worth of people that matters. Every life matters. The time is 3:14 p.m. Daniel's back. His voice is better after the break. He's taking over again. Thanks for listening to me. Daniel's the real professional. I'm just helping. This is Daniel again. Thanks, Emily. The time is 3:17 p.m. Let me talk about long-term survival. Assuming we contain this infection, assuming we eliminate the threat, what comes next? Rebuilding. Not just infrastructure, but society. Government, economy, culture. Everything has been disrupted. Will take years to fully recover, maybe decades. Cities need to be cleared and reconstructed. Bodies need to be handled properly. Services need to be restored. Trust needs to be rebuilt. It's a massive undertaking, comparable to post-war reconstruction. But we've done it before. After World War II, countries rebuilt, economies recovered, life went on. We can do it again. We'll do it again. Because giving up isn't an option. The time now is 3:43 p.m. I'm getting word that a vaccine is in development. Fast-tracked research using emergency protocols. Animal testing is being compressed. Human trials will start within days if animal results are promising. This is unprecedented speed. Usually vaccine development takes years. But this is an unusual situation. Desperate times call for desperate measures. If the vaccine works, if it can be produced and distributed quickly, then we can immunize the uninfected population. That stops spread completely. Game over for the infection. We win. But that's best case. Best cases rarely happen. More likely is partial success. Vaccine helps, but doesn't solve everything. Still have to fight, but any help is good help. The time is 4:09 p.m. Afternoon is stretching toward evening. The sun is starting its descent. In a few hours we'll face another night. Night 2 will be different from night 1. We're prepared now, we know what to expect. That reduces fear, but doesn't eliminate danger. The infected are still out there. They'll still be active after dark. But we have procedures now, protocols, defense strategies. We're not helpless anymore. We're organized. That matters. If you're preparing for tonight, make sure you're secure before sunset. Lock doors. Barricade windows. Have weapons ready. Have a plan for if defenses are breached. Know your exits. Know where you'll go. Don't be caught unprepared. Preparation is the difference between life and death. Take it seriously. The time now is 4:36 p.m. Let me address a rumor I'm hearing. Some people are saying the infection is a punishment from God. Divine judgment for humanity's sins. Look, believe what you want. If that narrative helps you cope, fine. But I don't buy it. This is science, not theology. A pathogen created by humans, accidentally released. No divine intervention required. Bad luck and human error. That's the explanation. Blaming God or fate or cosmic forces, that's a way to avoid responsibility. We did this, not intentionally but through negligence and forgotten history. We're responsible for fixing it. Not God, us. That's harder to accept but more useful. Because if it's our fault, it's also our problem to solve. And we can solve it. We have the tools, the knowledge, the will. We just need to use them. The time is 5:01 p.m. Emily's monitoring social media. There's a growing movement of people sharing stories. Not horror stories, but survival stories. Moments of kindness during crisis. Neighbors helping each other, strangers sharing resources. People risking themselves for others. It's heartening. Yes, there's been looting and violence and selfishness, but there's also been compassion and courage in community. Humanity isn't just one thing. We're capacity for good and evil both. Crisis brings out both extremes, but I choose to focus on the good, because the good is what saves us. The good is what makes life worth living even when it's hard. Emily's showing me some of the posts. A man who gave his last bottle of water to a stranger. A woman who sheltered a family of refugees in her home despite the risk. A teenager who went into a burning building to rescue a child. These stories need to be told, need to be remembered. When this is over, when we write the history of these days, let's include the heroes, not just the victims and the infected and the chaos, but the heroes. The everyday people who chose compassion over fear. They deserve recognition. The time now is 5:28 p.m. Less than 2 hours until sunset. Curfew will be enforced again tonight. 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. 12 hours. Half the day under lockdown. That's the reality for now. Maybe for weeks. Maybe forever. Hard to imagine curfew being permanent, but in a post-infection world, maybe it is. Maybe night always belongs to the infected and the military. Maybe civilians stay inside after dark forever. Depressing thought, but adaptive. We change our behavior to match our environment. If night is deadly, we become diurnal. Simple as that. Human civilization has always been flexible. We live in deserts and tundra and tropics. We adapt to heat and cold and altitude. We'll adapt to this too. It'll become normal. Generations from now, if there are generations, curfew will be standard. Children will grow up thinking it's always been that way. The before times will be legend. Stories grandparents tell about when you could go outside at night without fear. Sounds fantastical, but maybe true. Time erodes memory. Normal is whatever you're used to. The time is 5:54 p.m., 6 minutes until curfew. Final calls for anyone outside to get to shelter. Don't be caught in the street after 6. Military has shoot-on-sight orders. They won't hesitate. You'll be mistaken for infected or a threat. Either way, you're dead. It's not worth the risk. Get inside. Stay inside. Survive the night. Emily and I are securing the studio again. Checking barricades. Making sure everything's locked. We're good. Same position as last night. But more experienced. More prepared. Less scared. Still scared, but less. Fear becomes familiar. Manageable. Doesn't paralyze anymore. That's growth. Adaptation. We're learning to live with this. The time now is 6:02 p.m. Curfew is in effect. The city is going quiet. Less traffic, less noise, just the hum of generators and distant gunfire. The sounds of crisis, but quieter than last night. That's good. Less chaos means better control. We're winning. Slowly. Gradually. But winning. Let me play some music. Give everyone a moment of peace before the night fully sets in. We'll be back in a few minutes. We're back. 6:27 p.m. Night is falling. The sky is darkening. Temperature dropping. It's going to be cold tonight if you're without power, without heat. Layer clothing. Use blankets. Body heat is all you have. Stay warm. Cold weakens you, makes you vulnerable. Maintain body temperature. It's important. I'm thinking about the people who died yesterday and today. Hundreds of thousands, maybe more. Each one was a person, had a life, a story, people who loved them. They're gone now, reduced to statistics. But they were real. They mattered. I'm saying a prayer for them. Not religious exactly, but acknowledgement. They existed, they died, they deserve to be remembered. Even if just by a stranger on the radio who never knew them. They deserve that much. Emily's crying again. She lost friends yesterday, people she knew. They're gone now. Dead or infected, doesn't matter which. Gone. She's grieving. I let her. Grief is necessary. Holding it in is toxic. She cries and I sit with her. Silent support. Sometimes that's all you can offer. Presence. Acknowledgement that pain is real and valid. It's not much, but it's something. The time now is 6:53 p.m. Night is here. Deep darkness outside. City lights are sparse. Power's still out in many areas. The city looks like a constellation. Points of light in darkness. Each point represents people, survivors, holding out. We're all points of light in the darkness. Individually small, but together we illuminate. Together we push back the dark. That's what community is. Shared light against shared darkness. I'm being poetic again. Exhaustion does that. Makes you philosophical, reflective. Maybe that's healthy. When you're facing mortality, big questions feel relevant. What's the meaning of life when life is fragile? What matters when everything can be taken away? Love matters. Connection matters. Kindness matters. The rest is just noise. Career, wealth, status, none of that matters when you're facing death. Only the relationships you built. Only the good you did. Only the love you shared. That's what carries forward. That's what redeems a life. If I die tonight, I want to have mattered. Want to have helped. This broadcast is my contribution. My attempt to make a difference. If even one person survived because of information I shared, because of comfort I provided, then my life meant something. That's enough. Has to be. The time is 7:19 p.m. Into the night. Second night. Easier than the first. Experience helps, but still dangerous. Still frightening. Just manageable now. We're coping. That's survival. Not thriving, just coping. One day at a time. One night at a time. Until this ends. I'm monitoring military channels. Patrols are active. Night vision is working well. They're hunting infected in contested zones, clearing buildings. It's slow work but effective. Infected are dangerous but predictable. They react to stimulus without strategy. That makes them easy to ambush if you're smart. Military is smart. They're learning tactics, adapting, getting better at this fight. That's encouraging. Civilian casualty reports are lower today than yesterday. That's progress. People are learning, staying inside, avoiding risks, following protocols. Education is working. Information is saving lives. That validates what we're doing here. This broadcast matters. You listening matters. We're part of the solution. Together, we're fighting back. Small contributions, but they add up. The time now is 7:46 p.m. Emily's made more coffee. We're rationing food, but coffee is infinite. Well, not infinite, but we have enough. Caffeine is survival tool. Keeps us alert, keeps us functional. I'm grateful for it. Simple pleasure in darkness. Hot coffee. Small comfort, but comfort nonetheless. Let me take more listener questions. Help pass the time and provide information. First question, what happens if I'm injured? Can I go to a hospital? Depends. Hospitals are functional in secure zones, but overwhelmed. If your injury is life-threatening, yes, go. Call ahead if possible. But if it's minor, treat it yourself. Save hospital resources for those who need it most. We're in triage mode. Worst cases first. Everyone else tough it out. Not ideal, but necessary. Next, can I travel to another city? No. All travel is restricted. Military checkpoints will turn you back. Interstate highways are closed except for military and emergency vehicles. You're where you are. Make peace with that. Maybe restrictions will lift eventually, but not soon, not while infection is still active. Next, is there a list of survivors? Can I find out if someone I know is alive? Not officially. Communications are too disrupted, but social media is active. Post your name, let people know you're alive. Search for others. It's imperfect, but it's what we have. Don't expect miracles, but try. You might get lucky. The time is 8:13 p.m., 2 hours into the night, 10 hours until dawn. Long way to go, but we're managing. Routine is helping. Broadcast, monitor, update, repeat. Structure provides stability. Keeps panic at bay. As long as we have something to do, something to focus on, we're okay. It's the idle moments that are dangerous. When the mind wanders to dark places, so we stay busy, stay engaged, stay alive. I'm hearing that some communities are organizing night watch systems, people taking turns on guard while others sleep. It's smart. Can't stay alert 24 hours, need rest, but can't leave defenses unmanned. So rotation, shifts. Each person covers a few hours, then passes responsibility to the next. It works. It's how military operates. Civilians are learning from military, applying lessons, building resilience. If you're in a group, consider implementing shifts. Don't try to stay awake all night. You'll be useless tomorrow. Sleep when you can. Trust others to watch while you rest. That's community. That's survival. The time now is 8:41 p.m. Emily's reading news reports. The vaccine trial is progressing faster than expected. Animal results were promising. Human trials are starting tonight. Volunteers are being inoculated. They'll be monitored closely. If no adverse reactions, production will start immediately. We could have vaccine distribution within a week. That's astonishing. That's hope. Real, tangible hope. Not just wishful thinking, but actual progress. This could be over soon. Not the crisis, but the infection, the threat. If vaccine works, if it can be distributed widely, we're saved. Humanity is saved. That's incredible. I'm trying not to get too excited, don't want to jinx it, don't want to build up hope only to have it crushed, but I can't help it. This is the best news we've had since this started. This is a path forward. This is salvation. Maybe. Possibly. Please let it work. The time is 9:07 p.m. I'm thinking about what recovery looks like, assuming vaccine works, assuming we contain infection. What's next? Massive reconstruction efforts, federal and international aid, rebuilding cities, restoring services, burying the dead, healing the traumatized. It's a generation-long project, but we can do it. Humans are builders. We create and recreate. Throughout history, we've rebuilt from disasters. This is just another one. Bigger, worse, but same principle. We'll do it again. And maybe we'll be better for it. Maybe this crisis will unite us, break down divisions, make us value what matters. Community, compassion, cooperation. The things we forgot in the prosperity of the before times, maybe this is a reset, a chance to build a better society from the ashes of the old. That's optimistic, maybe naive, but I choose optimism, because the alternative is despair, and despair is death. The time now is 9:34 p.m. 3.5 hours into the night, 8.5 hours until dawn. Midpoint approaching. We're over halfway through. That's comforting. Each hour passed is an hour closer to morning, closer to light, closer to safety. We're going to make it. I believe that now. We're going to survive this night. Tomorrow we'll face tomorrow. But tonight we'll survive. Emily's looking tired. She should sleep again. I'm managing. Adrenaline and caffeine are keeping me going. I'll crash eventually, but not yet. I've got hours left. I'll make it to dawn. Then I'll sleep. Then we'll start again. Day 3 and 4. And however many days until this ends, we'll keep going. That's what we do. That's what humans do. We endure. Let me play more music. Give everyone a break. Give myself a break. My voice is fading again. Need to rest it periodically. Music fills the silence, keeps the broadcast alive, keeps us connected. We're all listening to the same songs, sharing the same experience. That's community. That's what carries us through. We'll be back after this. 10:09 p.m. Back again. Daniel Rothman, 1004.7 FM. Still here. Still broadcasting. Still alive. The night continues. The crisis continues. But so do we. Resilient. Stubborn. Refusing to quit. That's humanity. We're too stupid to know when we're beaten. So we keep fighting. Keep trying. Keep hoping. And sometimes, that's enough. Sometimes stubbornness wins. I'm looking at reports from the front lines. Military is making progress. Significant areas cleared of infected. Casualty rates among soldiers are lower tonight than last night. They're learning, getting better at urban combat, developing tactics. The infected are dangerous but not invincible. They can be beaten, are being beaten. We're winning this war. Street by street, building by building, life by life, but winning. The time now is 10:36 p.m. I'm thinking about the maintenance workers who started this, the ones who broke the container. Are they alive? Are they infected? Are they responsible or victims? Hard to say. They were doing their job, following procedures. Nobody knew what was in that tunnel. Nobody could have predicted the consequences. So maybe they're not responsible. Maybe this is just tragedy. No villains, just bad luck and forgotten history combining into catastrophe. Sometimes that's how disasters happen. No malice, just chance. But someone was responsible for losing track of that tunnel, for not maintaining records, for forgetting about dangerous materials sealed away decades ago. That's negligence. That's culpable. People should be held accountable. But later, after we survive, justice can wait. Survival can't. The time is 11:02 p.m. 4 hours into the night, 7 hours until dawn. We're past the midpoint. The second half of the night, psychologically easier, counting down instead of up. Time moving toward relief instead of away from it. Mental tricks matter when endurance is tested, so yes, we're past halfway. We're on the downslope. Morning is coming, we'll make it. Emily's asleep in the corner again. She's learned to sleep through the noise. Gunfire, sirens, they don't wake her anymore. Adaptation, the brain filtering what it can't change. Protecting itself through selective awareness. That's healthy. That's survival. Rest when you can. Worry when you must. Balance is key. I'm thinking about my family. I don't know if they're alive. Parents, siblings, friends. Haven't heard from them since yesterday. Phone networks are too unreliable. Maybe they're fine. Maybe they're dead. Maybe they're infected. Not knowing is torture, but there's nothing I can do. Can't leave to find them. Can't help from here. So I focus on what I can do. This broadcast. Helping strangers. That's my contribution. Have to be enough. If you're listening and you know Daniel Rothman's family, if they're alive, please tell them I'm okay. Tell them I'm thinking of them. Tell them I love them. That's all I can do. Send a message into the void and hope it reaches them. Communication is fractured but not impossible. Messages get through sometimes. Maybe this one will. Maybe they're listening. Maybe they know. That hope has to sustain me. The time now is 11:29 p.m. Getting close to midnight, the deepest part of night, the darkest hour. Everything feels heavier now. Fear more pressing, exhaustion more profound. But we push through, because giving up isn't an option. Never was, never will be. We fight until we can't. Then we fight more. That's the only way. I'm hearing reports of a new tactic. Infected are being lured into areas where they can be eliminated efficiently. Using sound, using bait, concentrating them and then destroying them en masse. It's brutal, but effective. Reduces risk to soldiers. Maximizes kills. The infected are drawn to stimulus without thought. That predictability is their weakness. We exploit it. War is ugly. Survival is ugly, but necessary. We do what we must. The time is 11:56 p.m. 4 minutes until midnight. The turn of the day, from day 2 to day 3. 36 hours since this started. Time stretches and compresses. Feels like forever. Feels like moments. Perception is unreliable during crisis. But clocks don't lie. Midnight approaching. New day beginning. Day 3. We've survived 2 days. We can survive a third and a fourth. And however many more until this ends. Midnight. Day 3 begins. We're still here. Still fighting. Still broadcasting. Still alive. That counts for something. That counts for everything. Good morning to day 3. Let's survive it together. The time is 12:23 a.m. Into day 3. Technically morning though, it feels like night, deep darkness outside. But the calendar says day 3. So day 3 it is. Semantics matter less than survival. Call it what you want. We're here. That's what matters. I'm looking at casualty estimates. Over the 2 days, probably 300,000 dead in the affected cities. Maybe more. It's staggering. Incomprehensible. 300,000 lives. Each one unique. Each one mattered to someone. They're gone. Reduced to numbers, to statistics, because the scale is too large to process individually. We're not built to comprehend loss on this scale, so we abstract it, make it numbers, distance ourselves emotionally because the alternative is madness. But I want to acknowledge them. The 300,000, you were real, you were people. You had dreams and fears and loves. You deserve better than this. You deserve to live. I'm sorry. We're all sorry. Your deaths weren't meaningless. They taught us. They motivated us. They reminded us what we're fighting for, so the rest don't join you. So life continues. So humanity endures. That's your legacy. That's how you're honored by our survival. The time now is 12:51 a.m. Emily's awake. She heard me talking about casualties. She's emotional again. She lost people. I lost people. Everyone's lost people. Grief is universal now. Shared experience. That should unite us. Should make us compassionate toward each other. We're all hurting. We're all suffering. Kindness costs nothing. Maybe we can be kinder now. Maybe that's something positive from all this tragedy. The time is 1:17 a.m. Night is long. Hours stretch. I'm playing music again. Keeping the silence at bay. Silence is dangerous. Lets the mind wander to dark places. Music fills the space. Keeps things moving. Keeps us engaged. Keeps us sane. Between songs, I'm monitoring channels. Everything's quiet. Quieter than last night. That's progress. Less chaos. More control. Things are stabilizing. Not safe, not normal, but stabilizing. That's a trajectory. That's improvement. We're moving in the right direction. Slowly. Incrementally, but moving. The time now is 1:44 a.m. I'm going to try something. Going to open the phone lines. Let listeners call in, share their stories, their questions, their fears. Connection is important. Radio shouldn't be one way, it's a community. Let's build that community. Let's talk to each other. Emily's screening calls. We'll take a few, see how it goes. First caller is Sarah from the South District. She's alone. Her family evacuated yesterday, but she stayed to care for her elderly mother. They're barricaded in their home. Mother is sick, not infected, but needs medication. They don't have. Sarah's asking if there's any way to get medical supplies. I tell her the military is doing supply runs to secure areas. South District is secure. She should contact the local checkpoint. They can help. Maybe not immediately, but they'll try. She thanks me. Starts crying. Says just hearing another voice helps. Makes her feel less alone. I tell her she's not alone. We're all in this together. She's brave for staying with her mother. She's doing the right thing. She cries more. Says she needed to hear that. We disconnect. I hope she gets the help she needs. Next caller is Marcus from the East District. He's part of a civilian defense group. 20 people. They've barricaded their block, fought off several infected attacks, lost 3 people but held the line. He's calling to share their success, to let others know it's possible. Civilians can fight, can win. With preparation and cooperation, he's detailing their tactics, barricades, patrols, communication systems. It's impressive. They've created a safe zone through sheer will. I'm praising him, telling him he's a hero. He's embarrassed, says he's just doing what needs to be done. I tell him that's exactly what makes him a hero, doing what needs to be done when it's hard, when it's dangerous. He thanks me for the platform, for letting him share, hopes it helps others. I hope so too. One more caller, Lisa from the West District. She's a nurse, working at a makeshift clinic, no official support, just volunteers doing their best with limited supplies. She's exhausted, traumatized, seen too much death, but she keeps working because people need her. She's not calling for help, just wants to talk, to vent, to share the weight she's carrying. I listen. Let her talk. Sometimes that's all someone needs, to be heard, to have their pain acknowledged. She talks for 5 minutes about the injuries she's treated, the people she couldn't save, the impossibility of her situation. Then she thanks me, says it helped, just saying it out loud. Sharing the burden. She goes back to work. I'm humbled. She's doing more than I am. She's saving lives directly. I'm just talking. But she said it helped. So maybe talking matters too. Maybe my role is as important as hers. Different, but equal. That's community. Everyone contributing what they can. The time now is 2:26 a.m. The calls were good, therapeutic for them and for me. Reminder that we're not alone. There are people out there fighting, surviving, helping. We're a community spread across the city, connected by radio waves, invisible but real. That matters. That's hope. I'm going to keep the lines open. If you want to call, the number is on the station website. Share your story, ask your questions, vent your fears. We're here, we're listening. You're not alone. The time is 2:53 a.m. More calls coming in, people sharing survival tips, locations of supply caches, safe routes through contested areas. Information is being crowdsourced. The community is building itself, self-organizing. This is beautiful. This is humanity at its best. Using technology and cooperation to help each other. No central authority required, just people caring about people. A caller just shared that there's a working water pump at a park in the North District. Clean water available. That's valuable information. Others are noting it. We'll spread the word. Knowledge is power. Shared knowledge is survival. Another caller says there's a doctor providing free care at a church in the South District. Volunteers welcome. Medical supplies needed, but he's treating people. That's another resource, another node in the network of survival. We're mapping this, creating a real-time database of resources and dangers. It's organic. It's grassroots. It's working. The time now is 3:21 a.m. I'm going to close the phone lines for now. Need to give the network a break, but we'll open them again later. This has been valuable. Thank you to everyone who called. Your stories matter. Your information helps. Keep surviving. Keep helping. Keep being human. Emily's impressed. She says the call-in was a great idea. Built community, provided valuable information, helped people feel connected. I'm glad. Sometimes simple ideas work. Sometimes all you need is to give people a voice. Let them speak. Let them be heard. That's powerful. That's healing. The time is 3:49 a.m., less than 3 hours until dawn. We're in the final stretch of night 3. It's been calmer than night 2, which was calmer than night 1. Trajectory is positive. Things are improving slowly but definitely. That's encouraging. Gives me hope that day 3 will be better than day 2, and day 4 better than 3. Each day we survive is a day closer to recovery. That's all we can do. Take it one day at a time. Survive and improve. That's the path forward. I'm looking at the sky, still dark, but the quality is changing. Pre-dawn, the universe knows morning is coming even if we can't see it yet. Soon. Couple more hours, then light, then day 3 properly begins. I'm ready, exhausted but ready. We'll face whatever day 3 brings, together. The time now is 4:16 a.m. Emily and I are talking about after, what we'll do when this is over. She wants to see her family, wants to hug them, wants to tell them she loves them. I want the same. Want to reconnect, want to rebuild relationships, want to appreciate what we have. This crisis has clarified what matters. People matter, relationships matter, love matters. Everything else is secondary. If we remember that after this ends, maybe we'll be better. Maybe we'll build a better world. That's the hope anyway. The time is 4:43 a.m., just over 2 hours until dawn. The night is nearly over. We've survived night 3, or will have soon. That's 3 nights, 3 days, 72 hours since this began. 3 days ago, life was normal. Now nothing is normal. Everything has changed, and we've changed with it. We're not the same people we were Monday morning. We're harder, more resilient, more appreciative, traumatized but alive, different but surviving. That's transformation. That's evolution. We adapt or we die. We're adapting. I'm thinking about the future generations. Assuming we survive, assuming humanity continues, they'll study this period. They'll ask what it was like, how we coped, what we felt. Maybe this broadcast will be part of the historical record. Maybe future students will listen to these recordings, learn about the crisis from primary sources. If so, let me speak to them directly. To you, future listener, whoever you are, whenever you are, this was hell. It was terrifying and painful and traumatic. We lost so much, so many people, so much of what we built, but we survived. We fought back. We refused to give up. And that's why you exist. Because we endured. Because we didn't quit. So whatever challenges you face, remember us. Remember that humans can survive almost anything if we work together. If we care for each other. If we refuse to surrender. That's our legacy. That's what we're giving you. Use it well. The time now is 5:11 a.m. Just over 90 minutes until dawn. The sky is lightening. Barely perceptible but real. Gray replacing black. The world waking up. Day 3 arriving. I'm tired. More tired than I've ever been. But also strangely energized. Purpose drives me. Knowing this matters drives me. I'm making a difference. However small. However limited. I'm helping. That's enough. That has to be enough. Emily's making more coffee. Our supply is running low. We'll need to ration it. Make it last. Who knows how long we'll be here? Could be days more. Could be weeks. We'll conserve what we have. Make do. Adapt. That's the theme. Adaptation. Resilience. Survival. We're becoming experts at it. Learning on the job. Trial by fire. And we're succeeding. Still here. Still broadcasting. Still alive. The time is 5:38 a.m. About 70 minutes until sunrise. I can see the horizon now. Thin line of lighter blue separating sky from earth. Dawn is coming. Day 3 is coming. We made it through another night. That's an achievement. That's success. Every night we survive is a victory. Every morning we see is a gift. We'll take it. We'll be grateful. We'll keep fighting. Let me update everyone on the vaccination effort. Clinical trials are proceeding well. No major adverse reactions so far. Production is ramping up. The government is preparing mass vaccination sites. Goal is to immunize the entire uninfected population within 2 weeks. That's ambitious, logistically challenging. But if achieved, it changes everything. The infection can't spread to vaccinated individuals. It dies out. The crisis ends. We win. That's the goal. That's what we're working toward. Hold on. Help is coming. Real help. Not just promises, but actual solutions. The vaccine is our salvation. Just a bit longer. Just hold on. The time now is 6:04 a.m. 43 minutes until sunrise. The city is visible now in the pre-dawn light. Smoke still rising from fires. Buildings damaged or destroyed. Streets empty except for military patrols. It looks like a war zone because it is a war zone. We're at war with the infection, with the infected, with the consequences of our own forgotten history. But we're winning. Slowly, painfully, but winning. The city will recover, will rebuild. It won't be the same, but it'll be something. Maybe something better. That's hope. That's what keeps us going. Emily's watching the sunrise with me. We're standing at the window, watching the sky change color, watching the world wake up. It's beautiful. Despite everything, despite the horror and the loss, the world is still beautiful. Nature doesn't care about our crisis. The sun rises regardless. That's comforting somehow. Reminder that we're part of something larger, that life continues, that this too shall pass. The sun will rise tomorrow, and the day after, and all the days to come, whether we're here to see it or not. That's humbling. That's perspective. The time is 6:31 a.m., 16 minutes until official sunrise. But it's bright enough to see clearly now. Day 3 has begun. We survived night 3. Now we face day 3. Unknown challenges, unknown dangers, but also unknown opportunities, unknown victory. We don't know what today brings, but we'll face it together. As a community, as humans refusing to quit. That's who we are. That's what makes us strong. The curfew is lifting in 10 minutes. People will emerge. Begin the day's work. Searching for supplies, caring for loved ones, fighting infected, helping each other. The work of survival, of rebuilding, of living. That's what day 3 is. The work continues, and we'll be here, broadcasting, informing, supporting, connecting. That's our role. That's what we'll do, as long as we can, as long as you need us. We're here. The time is 6:47 a.m., sunrise. Day 3 officially begins. The sun breaks the horizon. Light floods the city. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 3. We're still here. You're still here. That's a miracle. That's everything. Let's survive today. Let's help each other. Let's hold on to hope. Together we can do this. Together we will do this. This is Daniel Rothman on 104.7 FM, still broadcasting, still here with you. Day 3 begins now. Let's make it count. Stay safe, stay strong, stay human. We'll get through this together.